$1 million. It's going to be a hype matchup, and it's going to be a good way to be able to set the stage for the upcoming Dota 2 season 2024-2025. I'm Cap. I'm joined by Avery here. Avery, it's start of a new season. We already got to see one tournament underway in PGL Wallachia, another $1 million tournament, and we already have seen some upsets, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to be another tournament where there's a lot of money on the line, and as you said, we're going to see some of these teams that are capable of pulling these upsets. We're also going to see some of these teams playing for this money that have not debuted their roster since that TI, right? Especially the two big names that were those finalists in Gaimin and Liquid. They're going to want to take home some of this big prize share and get themselves on top of the leaderboard early in the season, build the confidence, feel good about their roster swaps, prove that they were right and not left. That's what we're all here to find out, right?
That's, I'm sure, what many people are looking forward to, particularly with the different matchup in Liquid versus Tundra and who is right and who is wrong. But, of course, whoever does end up being right at the end of the tournament will be taking over that $400,000 for first place. But overall, $1 million divided between these 12 different teams. We've got a lot of matches that are going to be happening on in the next couple of days. We have, of course, a group stage to be able to go through. So we're going to be going through 2-game series at a time, 5 of them in total, hosting these teams right here on your screen. Of course, these are all the big dogs that you are expecting to see near the top 8 of every single tournament, right? Spirit, Falcons, Tundra, Liquid, all of these guys did very well in the previous season. Maybe not so much Aurora, but established team and one of the top dogs from Southeast Asia. Anyway, these are the guys that are going to be coming in looking to make a name for themselves for this year, or maybe already had made a name for themselves and showed promise in the last year, but maybe didn't quite get over into the hump of that, established top 8. I think Nouns is a good example of a team that showed a lot of promise, but ultimately at the end of the day didn't really manage to prove it in the clutch LAN environments, right?
That's what it's about. I think for a lot of these teams, you're just looking at the trajectory, making sure it's on the up, not on the down, making sure you're continually improving, getting that one series farther, that one win more. If you can take down some of the top teams in a couple of these series in the groups, you're going to feel way better about your chances going into the playoffs of this event, for example, and events down the road as well. So I'm interested to see in those matchups, those qualified and participating teams up against the top dogs, how that looks. And of course, you got 2 groups to prove it out in, right?
Yep.
And I like the 2-group format because I think it just works well for Dota, right? You get a group meta for each one. You have some top teams in each group. You can seed them a bit easier, and I think these are fairly balanced. There's a lot of unknowns here as well, of course.
Sure.
I mean, you have teams, Group A, I think BetBoom, big unknown. How are they going to perform? Tundra, they're putting new players in. Liquid with the new offlaner. And then you have MOUZ, Talon, and Yakult at the bottom trying to upset all these teams. Group B, kind of similar, right? You have Falcons, you have the new Spirit, the new Gaimin with Watson, and then you have Aurora, Nouns, and Liga trying to upset those top dogs in that group. So I think you can delineate the top 3 from the bottom 3 in each, but honestly, I don't know how predictable that really is, considering those top 3 in each group don't have the same roster as they did last season at all.
And even just one player change could amount to a very big difference in their performances throughout the year, especially at the start of the year when they maybe still haven't quite figured things out, haven't gotten the new game guy on the same page as everybody else. But we saw the groups. We saw, who's going to be matching up against who, but we don't know when. And that is going to be coming with our schedule, which we're going to take a look at as we're going to see all the matches that we're going to be covering today, both on this stream as well on the other stream. Of course, there's a stream A and stream B, like most Dota 2 tournaments have. So the stream you're watching right now, stream A, BetBoom_English, is of course the one you're watching now, and you can see all the matches that we're going to be looking at from Group B. But if you want to check out some of the Group A matches that are going to be happening, you can check that out on BetBoom English 2. And you'll notice that there is no Tundra versus Liquid matchup just yet on the first day for that group.
I mean, you got to save the good stuff for later.
Of course. We're going to be seeing that one, I believe, tomorrow, as I believe we take a look at that one. But, of course, this is today's schedule, and you guys can take a look at that and look forward to some of the matches that are coming up. But we, of course, are not really a BB Dacha without our 2 favorite hosts. So let's go ahead and check in on Nat T and Jenkins.
Jenkins, I had to run here from the whole 5 meters, but do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's BB Dacha Belgrade time. That's right, baby. We're getting started.
We're getting started, and we are here in the group stage of BB Dacha, but this one is different. Why is this one different, Natty?
It's because I heard that 90% of the tickets are already sold out for a live audience
We have a
on
live
Grand Finals.
We have live audience. We got 12 teams. One's going to be crowned the grand champion, but to get there, we first have to do the group stage.
Yeah.
That's pretty normal. That's a normal
that's
thing.
Actually, I think
We have a
most
live
tournaments
audience.
do that.
They mostly do that. So
I
we're
think
going to do
The
that.
most obscure thing, though, is that this Dacha, we're actually going to try and be friends.
I don't think so, but we
Okay,
will
well,
get into the tournament
let's just start
right
then.
now.
Okay.
That's right. We're starting off the tournament in fine form. And, of course, Jenkins and Nat are in very good form. Cringier than ever, I would say.
Never seen those two closer than they have been coming into this event. I'll be excited to see how much their friendship is broken by the end. I think that's what we're all here to see. Just how deep that will really spiral for both of them. And I look forward to it.
Yeah, it may even, some of it may end up coming up on camera. You may see that that break
possible.
happen. That's what we always hope for, right?
The good drama, you know, the good back and forth, so to say.
We've certainly had enough drama going on already in this season when it comes to Dota 2, mostly on the player side, but hey, maybe it'll come to the talent side as well. But speaking of the players, we got to introduce our players and our first matchup, which is, as you saw on the schedule earlier, Aurora versus Nouns. That is a matchup that's going to be interesting to see how it devolves, right, Avery? Because I think we both know these teams pretty well at this point.
Interesting is one way to put it. This is a matchup that has inspired greatness and madness at the same time, I think. These are two teams that I think are capable of playing anything from between the 10-minute game to the 200-minute game.
Probably more likely in that 200-minute area. I feel like both.
Yeah. So
I mean, if it's not really an Aurora game unless it hits 45 minutes at least. Right?
Yeah, unless the casters are infuriated and the Twitch chat is going mad, it's not an Aurora match. And if there's not at least 3 throws in there, it's not an NA Dota match either.
True.
So I expect all of those to be included here. And of course, Aurora, they are looking to start out strong. They're looking to hit it hot here. This is a team that has a new carry player, a new support player, and they are going to bring the pace, Austin, because if I had one complaint about Aurora last season, it was they were a bit slow. But now they have Abed on the mid to play around, and they brought in some of those Quest players to pick up the pace.
Right. Quest, of course, very well known for being very fast team. I know you are a big fan of these two additions in Kaori as well as TA2000. I mean, what would you give characteristics-wise the players that they picked up?
Well, I think at TI, Kaori was the highest GPM support player of that event, I believe.
Okay, that sounds like a good metric. Yeah.
I mean, so if you're looking for pace, you're definitely going to get there. And I think TA2000 might have at some point been the highest last hit carry at that event. So, you're just piling on some greed here. But as I like to say, if there's one man in the world who knows how to play with a greedy-ass team, it's your boy Abed. He has been training with those NA greedy positional players, weights on his feet for years now. The man knows how to function when the rest of his team is AFK farming. So I kind of believe in it. I kind of believe in the construction here.
Yeah.
I'm not memeing. I think a lot of Aurora comes down to can they play around Abed in the mid, get him snowballing, turn him into that unkillable player, the team will look good.
We'll explore that idea a little bit further in a second, but first let's take a look at Nouns on stage here. Of course, this lineup, we saw this exact same lineup last year. I thought they showed so much promise. I thought this was the year that last year was going to be the year that Nouns broke out and really took over, some top 8, top 6, maybe even, well, maybe not top 4, but like top 6, right, was a nice ceiling that I thought Nouns could achieve. And unfortunately, just like many times in the past with this, second best NA roster, while it showed promise, it never actually came to fruition in the playoff bracket.
Yeah, they did not go as deep as I think they wanted to or their expectations were set at, but I think they have a solid foundation. This is not a team I think people were necessarily afraid of, but they're starting to understand can take the series off of anybody, right? And that can start to build some fear, some confidence in yourself. And I would look particularly between the two of Yuma and Copy. I think Lela's Gunner Fly have a pretty strong foundation for this team. They're going to play a wide variety of heroes. This support duo is one of the most experienced support duos in the world at this point, particularly in that captain position for Tall.
Sure.
But Yuma and Copy have to step up for this team to look good. I think some of that happened at TI. I think Copy had a heck of a tournament.
Yes.
You look at not only the stats, but everybody who was at that event talking about it, they were going, this is the guy who's stepping up for this team, who's looking really good, really scary. Like his Storm Spirit, some of the mobility heroes in particular, right? He can just take over those games. His Queen of Pain was spectacular. And of course, you have Yuma, who plays a lot of the staple heroes of the meta, but also always has that, pocket meepo pick that people forget about.
Yep.
Which, not the greatest meepo meta, but sometimes you just need one game out of it in a perfect meepo game. So I'm looking towards those two to kind of light the torch here early on for Nouns, get them going, and for Nouns to really figure out more of their playstyle and how it revolves around them, because that's where I feel the core identity for this team lies.
Now, how do you think Gunnar performed in that last year? Because we now know there's rumors about it that this roster may potentially get split up. There's a rumor about Gunnar potentially going to Europe, but now it's been confirmed that this roster actually had an offer on the table to be able to move over to Cloud9 as long as they replace their offlaner with DM, who, the organization wanted to be able to keep, so they just wanted to pick up Nouns and say, slide in DM. But Nouns, they chose to actually stick it out with Gunnar in the end and maintained faith in the original roster of last year. What do you think about that decision?
It's an interesting one. A lot of times rosters, particularly this year, not a lot of rosters stayed the exact same after TI.
Yeah.
Even a lot of the top teams. And usually in a year where the top teams shuffle, it trickles down a lot more. So the fact that Nouns opted to stay together when they probably had other offers, other options, says a decent amount about this team's trust and faith in each other and the potential. I think that's the biggest thing, right? I think this Nouns squad has potential. They have the player skill. They've shown it. They have the experience. They have the drafting. They have the knowledge. But can you make it all come together and actually turn into a championship team? You can only forge a championship team in the fires of distress and pain. That is usually how Dota works. So maybe they just haven't gone through enough struggle yet. I think if we learned anything from this last TI, its resilience does pay off eventually.
Sure.
Like, if you look at a lot of the players in Dota that eventually go on to win TIs or the championship teams, I would spotlight Liquid from this past TI, for example. That can take 7 or 8 years of struggle and working together and keeping that core group together, right? It can take 1,000 games in a trio or duo to sometimes get there. It's not an easy task. I'm not saying every team has to do that to succeed, but if you're in a position like Nouns, you have to choose every year, do you stay on that path or do you diverge? It's not an easy decision. I think for this, it makes sense. I think Gunnar has shown a lot of potential. I think the squad continues to show a lot of potential. And I think the more you can stick together and build off that, the less you have to relearn and reteach.
That's fair enough. What about the Aurora side? Because they are obviously the exact opposite end where they changed their roster quite a bit.
This is true. I think it'll be interesting to see where their identity lands now after some of the roster swaps. Does it speed up the pace? Does it make it even slower? But I think they have a lot to prove because the previous seasons were just not that successful for them. And this is going to be another big switch up with big name players, particularly Abed going back to C and ending up on Aurora as, I'm sure that guy had every offer under the sun.
Yeah.
They have to put a lot of promise into him and make him shine in order to feel good about where they are.
And we'll see whether or not they can actually make him shine. But you see the coin toss happen. We're going to end up with Aurora being on Radiant's side. Nouns opting for second pick. I think everybody is pretty aware right now that Radiant is extremely preferred. Radiant side is OP. What about first pick versus second pick, though?
I actually think most teams are probably just going to take Radiant if they win the toss because
Right.
I don't think the first second is that. It's not as one-sided as I think Radiant Dire feels at the moment. I think it also varies per team. I think some teams have very strong first picks they're willing to abuse, but if you don't, then maybe you just don't care how that pans out. I think a lot of the first phase also comes down to that 3 bans versus the 4. Like, if you want to have the ability to ban more stuff out in that first phase, that 4th ban can feel really good, can feel really valuable. You go up against some team and you have to ban a couple supports on top of 1 or 2 cores. That's where you kind of wish you had that 4th ban. To me, that's one of the biggest differences here, but that's a very matchup-dependent thing. You can't just say, oh, this team would always want that. It kind of depends on their opponents or maybe how the meta develops here over the course of BB Dach as we get deeper into the tournament. Would not be surprised to see teams switch up that priority if certain supports continue to stay on top. Things like the Tuskar or the Shadow Demon that were super popular at TI.
Yeah.
But we've seen kind of that develop. We saw Bounty Hunter become a first phase ban at certain points in the last month. If a support like that becomes so dominant in the laning phase that it's troublesome and it becomes first phase, then those 4 bans could just prove to be more valuable than that first pick.
We did see some development of the meta since TI with PGL Wallachia. Some of the standout heroes of that tournament. Biggest one for me, Storm Spirit. That hero had just a crazy, over 70% win rate with 26 picks. I mean, if you're getting picked that much and you still have a win rate that is well above that 50-60 area, then I feel like you have to be a little bit broken. Other standouts, I think Bristleback looked really good. Underlord seemed to be back in the meta, maybe good for Gaimin Gladiators. We'll see.
True.
So some of the heroes that stood out there that weren't necessarily the biggest picks in TI, how much do you feel like the game has changed since TI?
I think it's changed a decent amount. I do not think the game is as fast or laning dependent as the TI meta was.
Okay.
I think that meta was very like, you crush the first 10 minutes, you're going to win the game if you execute well. And that's not to say that every team was capable of doing that, but I think we clearly saw the top European teams at that event were just, they were snowballing games out of control, and the high ground was very doable very early. I think you still can do that, and you can execute those strategies, but I also think there's a lot more room in this patch to not get as Aura cheeseballed as some of the previous metas, right? There's
Sure.
a lot more just like skirmishing, fighting, scaling. I think the carry pool is a lot more open to experimentation now than it was at that TI, for example.
I think that was one of the biggest complaints. I mean, carry
Yes.
players are always going to be complaining about something, but I did hear a lot of complaints about the carry pool just not being very open.
It was pretty restricted. You kind of had to play something that hit that 25, 30-minute timing and had the highest impact there, which is why we saw a lot of things like the Furion, the Alchemist, the Lone Druid, right? These heroes should just thrive at that 30-minute mark. You don't really care what the game looks like at 60 because it's not going to get there. And I think that's why a lot of the carry players were crying because, I mean, carry players like to play anti-mage at 60 minutes with 8 Battle Furies and farm 1,000 last hits. You know, they want to play the Naga Siren, the Drow Ranger, the Medusa. I think we're seeing a bit more of these come back. I've seen a lot of the Drow in pubs. We've seen a lot more of the Medusa, the Morphling. We've seen some Sven. Maybe an anti-mage will come out if we see some more Medusa. It's possible. I also think Morta has a place in this meta. We did see, I know, I'm a big Morta fan, but I'm telling you.
I don't know why.
This hero's good. This hero is really good. I think
Okay.
it has a distinct place in the meta. I think it counters some of the offlaners like the Bristleback. This hero just does an absurd amount of damage. It can be difficult to itemize against for certain lineups, and she's not that bad at fighting in that mid game anymore. Her laning is quite strong. It kind of reminds me of the Wind Ranger carry. It's a super powerful range here with good nukes early, can join the fights. Her talents are pretty good. She does a crap ton of scaling damage. She has one of the infinite scaling mechanisms as well in that shard. This hero can do a lot, and she's received some good buffs in some of the frequent patches, particularly towards that ultimate. That is a way lower cooldown and a way better uptime than it used to be, which was one of her big problems. Having the 8-second uptime now on the ultimate level 1 is a huge deal for this hero. When you're looking to join early fights or maybe join a fight after like Maelstrom, Dragonlance, get in that fight. So I would not be surprised to see some more to this event. It might take longer for people to develop. But again, my point is carry heroes like that I don't think we would have seen at all at TI, I think now have a lot more room to play around with.
That's fair enough. I still need the biggest buff of all, which is that your passive, what is that, double shot, whatever that ability, turns on automatically. Seems some pro players still have a problem.
I mean, we saw Miracle, it slipped for him. I'll be honest, when that started by default off, I played a game. I didn't turn it on.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, it was
I did
bad
the same thing.
because you don't think about it.
No.
So that is a big buff, actually. You are correct there. You just don't really turn that thing off. Though you can toggle in laning phase because sometimes it is actually annoying to have it on for certain last hits of the laning phase. So
Sure.
There's a small thing there you can micro to get some.
I
some
just feel
extra
like even if the ultimate got buffed, and sure that extra duration is nice, I still feel like just play wise. You just play around it, right? You just like, okay, this hero is a threat when it pops its ultimate. All you have to do is it doesn't necessarily require items, it just requires playstyle, right? Get the ultimate used, reset, go in again. I feel like I see that every single time Huerta starts becoming a hero. It's just like, okay, teams just adapt to being able to
I agree.
Either all in her or get her to pop her ultimate and just reset.
That's where I look towards the offlane pool. If you want to play carries like this, or even something like the Drow, who, like, you could say Drow's not as dependent as a Morta, but you kind of have this interval in the fight where maybe you're BKB dependent, or maybe you're going to get this multi-shot out, and you have a brief 5 to 8 second interval to deal the damage you want to deal before the fight kind of collapses. The offlane pool is really important for that because these heroes generally would prefer to play with a frontline fight starter. Something, or like if you have an aura builder like a Beastmaster, Beastmaster, he's the do-it-all offlaner. But if you have something like a Mars or Centaur, it can be really nice. If the offlane meta shifts more towards that, these carries are going to feel better, I think. Particularly because they would rather play against that type of hero than the like Visage, Lycan, Beastmasters of the world themselves. It's just not a fun matchup in terms of the tempo.
And that might be an interesting conundrum because the offlaners that are being successful right now are not those heroes, right? Muerta may be a good answer to Bristleback, but Bristleback is also one of the most successful offlaners who doesn't enable a Muerta, right? So you're trying to pick it up to counter, but other heroes that are successful right now, Timbersaw, right? MOUZ is at a 40% win rate from PGL Wallachia, right?
Yeah, he hasn't looked great.
Batrider's not really that much of a hero so much. It just feels like a lot of those blink stunning offlaners are not doing the best. Centaur is just dead even at 50%.
No.
Right.
I think that's going to be the most interesting thing is where does this offlane meta go? Because I don't think it's super clear right now. I think Visage is still super powerful. I think the Beast is still super good, but they're not really... I don't think they're as broken because of the aura buildup. It's just the heroes are just really strong in the fights. And of course, we will start out this tournament with a first pick Shadow Demon. You expected nothing else. We did see the Storm ban, though. I think it's a really valuable ban.
Yeah.
Particularly early on when the meta is not as defined here. Just get the comfort away from someone like Copy. Don't give him that hero that can absolutely pop off. But even if you look at the first 7 bans here into the Shadow Demon pick, this to me is a lot more skirmish based than Aura Cheeseball push, right? I mean, you're seeing certain things like the Enchantress or the Naga that are familiar from TI, but there's no like huge Aura buyer in these first 7 bans, right?
Yeah.
There's no Lone Druid here. There's no Furion. Maybe that's just a team versus team matchup. I mean, Aurora is not really the Deathball team. I don't think Nouns is either. So that is something to mention here, but I would not be surprised if the meta kind of develops in that direction. And of course, would not be a Dota land without a Pangolier first pick. My God, Austin.
That's right. Pango has gone from being broken in so many different metas in so many different ways. Now it seems to be broken. It was broken off the shield crash facet. Oh, this is double bounce. This is just insane. Now we're going the other one. The Thunderbolt, I think, is the other facet now. People are realizing, okay, the shield crash got nerfed a little bit, but man, this Thunderbolt, it got buffed up a little bit. It's crazy. You're just able to roll in all over the place with this extra bit of movement speed. You turn faster, so it's very easy to chain stun people.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing, Austin. I don't have a lot of dreams in life, but one of my dreams is to one day meet the Valve employee whose job it is to just continually make Pangolier OP in the meta, because that guy's motivations have got to be one of the most interesting things on this earth. Like, I don't understand it. I genuinely don't. You know, you have these heroes that remain in the absolute competitive dumpster for 10 years, like Pugna, who have like 1 TI where Thompson plays, and they're like, okay, get back in the trash can. And then you have heroes like Pangolier, where every time he gets nerfed, no. We have to make something else broken about this hero while we nerf other components.
Yep.
He just shifts his playstyle. It's going to be another meta where this hero definitely has a place, because they basically made his entire kit physical damage now, and a lot of it goes through the debuff immunity. So you can't even really BKB this hero anymore.
Sure.
Like, it's okay. You obviously don't get stunned, but you still take all the damage because it all just... I mean, you don't care about magic resist anymore on this hero. And if you can amp up that physical through all of his spells with things like Assault Kuros later on, or a Deso carry, or a Slardar, some of this random armor amp, it becomes particularly nasty. And of course, all this is on top of a hero that still has Rolling Thunder, that now works arguably better than it ever did, because I think your capability to chain stun somebody in the open without being dependent on bouncing off walls is super high. It's fairly reliable. So
it is very hard to dodge that. Whereas before, like,
impossible.
Rolling Thunder, it was just like, okay, if you're in the right kind of area, you can keep tight corners, and he can't actually do a full circle. You could just kind of stay in one area. But Thunderbolt just makes it an entirely different beast. I think Shadow Demon was pretty interesting, the fact that he has stayed first pick. I mean, this was the 3rd most picked and banned hero of TI, and was the most picked and banned hero of PGL Wallachia, but win rate did plummet quite dramatically from TI to PGL Wallachia.
He's too annoying to play against. We were going to see the Tusk. I was going to mention that. That's the other like powerhouse support that was still in the pool. Yeah. I mean, this hero still just does way too much in the team fight in terms of
Liquid
save.
Did a combination of Shadow Demon Tusk the entirety of the, well, I guess the first 2 games of the finals, right?
These heroes are just really annoying for most carries to play against. Like, that's the thing I want to note on Shadow Demon. For me, SD does 2 things better than almost any other support in the game, other than, he's just super well-rounded. He stacks from that forward position like no other than, like, Keeper the Light. There's your stack taker,
I was about to say, you want to stack clear if you've got Shadow Demon.
So this is just like this is a very scary offlane in terms of economic efficiency right now. You have to think about it if you're Nouns. And he is really annoying for a lot of traditional right-click carries. The Demonic Purge debilitates you through BKB no matter what. The Disruption buys 2 or 3 seconds in the fight where you can't hit a target. So if you're a BKB dependent carry, this hero is one of the worst to play against in Dota in general, and that's where his secret sauce scale comes from. I think Tusk is very similar. We saw this become a counterpick towards things like the Wind Ranger. Tusk is amazing versus these carries who have a limited window to take that team fight, because Snowball stalls it out, Punch can stall it out, you can get a kick later and displace the carry. This is, to me, why both these supports are still in the meta. They just limit your picks and makes the carry feel really bad as the game progresses. And, I mean, that's a great feeling. We're going to see Lich here. This is not a hero that has been picked recently, but does give you the armor, can be a nice Tusk answer. I was also mentioning you have to think of Pangolier as a physical damage dealer, not a magical one. This Lich armor mitigates a lot of that damage.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting interaction you wouldn't normally think about, but
yeah, it got
good.
It got buffed up, right? The armor, I think it gave them an extra 5 or 10% damage reduction, something like that. And I think it was Puppy, right? Navi.
Yeah, he was
picked it up. They picked it up once at PGL Wallachia. I don't think it got picked up any other time. But it's been
nice
cropping
too.
up a little bit in pubs as well. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, in the back end.
His laning is still good, but you can also throw the lane pretty easily with this hero. Like, if you give away that one bad death early, then his laning falls apart a bit. You really want to snowball, get the first blood on the lane with the Lich, and then just take it off from there. Nouns, picking up where they left off at that TI meta. This is a familiar-looking style lineup for them. Get the kind of hard carry for Yuma that can still fight in that mid-game, but kind of wants to go to that 40-minute mark or so, get the stacks going. Another Ancient Clear, really important feature to have here. And a hero that can lane versus the Bristleback. The stick charge is going into the Luna now that you can level up the beam, feel really nice here. And of course, it would not be a game without Puck.
Yeah, another hero that was quite dominant at TI, particularly in the hands of Nisha. And I think another thing that I like about the Luna pickup, though, I feel like Tusk, Luna, to some degree Snapfire, but Pango especially, I think all of these heroes are really good at invading the triangle, right? So when you're talking about stacking up for the Bristleback, I think these heroes are very capable of going into that triangle and taking away those stacks.
That's
or
true.
Catching the Bristleback when he's farming it and killing him.
I mean, this Lich Puck gives you some early game fighting power, which I think Aurora needed here to kind of defend their side of the map. They're probably going to play a bit more defensive, get the Bristle super farmed. But there is invasion potential, particularly if the two supports on Nouns get a lot of XP early. That Wisdom Rune is going to be very important for this support duo. If you can get the snap to an early 6, then you're just going to cut through the Bristleback, don't care about a disruption. Puck's game becomes a little bit harder because these supports are tankier. I think that's one of the key factors when you play against Puck. Everybody talks about the lockdown and the stuns and being able to build hexes or orchids or all that stuff, and that is super important versus Puck. But the other component is if you just have a smooth early game and your supports tank up and get levels, the hero can feel a bit more mute in the fights because he can't get that key kill at the start that transitions into the team fight snowball.
Do you think that's why Storm had so much success at PGL Wallachia, and maybe Puck will follow suit, continuing his dominance at TI as the Bracer meta got nerfed?
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Right.
It really helps a lot. That might be one of the biggest changes for the meta in general, is removing a lot of the extra HP these supports were getting as we transition into that later portion of the mid game. It opens up a lot more killers in the patch. Heroes that can snowball just off killing people around the map and scale that way. I mean, Storm is one of the best, but even the Earth Spirit mid that we saw first phase banned here, it's a similar type of hero.
Yeah.
If you can feed off these easy backline support kills like this Lich, right? This Lich might only have 1,500 HP instead of 2,500 or something, right? With Solar Crest, Double Brace, or whatever. That's a huge difference in the fight. It means you don't have to cast 2 or 3 extra spells on this hero. You don't have to sit there and right-click him another 3 times as a Luna. That changes the meta and the timings a lot here.
Better chance of blowing him up before he gets off any spells himself.
Exactly.
And we saw, I feel like this Chain Frost is really good.
It's a nasty spell. The AoE damage and control, the slows, just stacking it all from this Lich. You clump up in that fight, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's way more debilitating. Also, just if you end up getting ice, the fact that it with the facet that it sticks around you and you can't come back into the fight until 2 or 3 seconds. That's pretty obnoxious as well.
So they're going to ban the Shaker for the mid-Puck matchup. It's also a hero copy he's going to play. They're going to look for the carry here, I assume, as I feel like Aurora's probably way more likely to play this Bristle for jabs. Feel comfortable about it with the stacking on the SD, and we'll see what TA2000 wants here. Oh, no. They're going to play...
Yeah, is this carry Void Spirit still?
Maybe. It could
for
go
TA2000?
Could go either side lane. Jabs will play pretty much anything. Very interesting pick. Maybe some secret tech here with some Void Spirit carry or something. I mean, this hero does scale like an absolute beast. But generally, he wants solo XP. That's one of the biggest things about this hero. Like, he kind of snowballs off having the higher levels, so that's going to be stunted a bit.
And Lich has this funny problem that he kind of they buffed it, the range on his mana deal that he has, where he gets mana off of creeps dying and stuff. But he does kind of need to be in the lane, in order to get that. So he's really not going to be giving that much solo experience.
I mean, there's there's just an Underlord option here or something for Nouns. If they want the pit, they want the roots, an Aura buyer to fight with the Luna. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, that looks really devastating.
The other thing would be like Ember mid or Monkey or something.
They go for the Timbersaw, who did very well at PGL Wallachia, 70% win rate for that hero.
I don't mind that because I don't think it necessarily answers the Puck Void Spirit here too well, but it'll give them a lot more confidence towards this Bristleback in terms of can you kill him in that early mid game and shut down his ability to just control the entire team fight. It does do that. This hero always gives you damage. They also do have some lane flexibility here, and it will be the TA2000 Void Spirit here.
I mean, one of your biggest complaints about, or criticisms maybe, about TA2000 is he has been a pretty slow carry, and the recent meta, which has been, active carries have been a big deal, right? Liquid and Gaimin Gladiators being the two most dominant teams of last year, right? They had Duraccio and Mickey. Super active carries. TA2000 really just doesn't do that. Do you feel like he is going to be able to achieve some of that with a Void Spirit?
Honestly, who knows? I mean, how many games of carry Void Spirit do we have on the record?
There's a few. There's not that.
Yeah, probably all two of them,
it's not that rare. Come on.
It's pretty rare. Like, this hero really needs XP. I think his jungle farming is not that great unless you're willing to invest in early mana regen item. He kind of plays off the bottle mid and using that to keep his resources full, going for a kill with level 6 and kind of playing around that. All of that gets slowed down in a side lane. Lich can help you with that, but I don't know if this lane's going to be that good versus the Pangolier here, especially if they put that Snapfire top.
Do you think it's possible they meant to pick Faceless Void instead?
Or the wrong purple hero? It's possible. I mean, I think it's an interesting pick. I think particularly early on in the tournament, you can try stuff like this, see if it works. New meta, why not? Maybe he's been spamming in pubs. He's feeling it.
He has played it 7 times in his career, so more than the 2 times.
Yeah, so maybe it was a misplay. We don't know. I mean, this hero will scale, though. Like, that is the one thing worth saying. If you get the 5 or 6 slots on this hero, I don't think anybody doubts its ability to carry a game, no matter where it started off laning. It doesn't really matter, right? You just don't want to lose your towers and lose your map and end up in a scenario where you have to go jungle early on a Void Spirit. I don't think that's going to feel too great compared to the Luna, right? Like, imagine this Luna goes and jungles off a solid laning phase. You have a solid laning phase on Void Spirit. You go jungle. Is that at all even? No. Some of that can get picked up from the Bristleback on the triangle, but like you said, if Nouns early invade, take that away from you, is Void Spirit going to have the levels to come to that fight and defend his side of the map? That's a big question mark for me with this lineup for Aurora. It could just be a greedy play from them as well. They're a greedy, slow team. Maybe it's like a 6-slotted Void Spirit. Can't do anything to it. They don't have the lockdown.
It's true.
It's kind of true. But
I mean, especially with that last pick. I would have been all in on Nouns if they went for Underlord. I thought that was
it looked solid.
If they just double down on auras and tank at that point in time, and also the ability of the Underlord to join team fights across map and just bring superior numbers, I would have been all in on Nouns. I think their lineup just kind of fits what is most successful right now. I still think their lineup, draft-wise, I still like it more, but I would have said, this is like an 80-20 game if they'd taken just an Aura buyer of that regard.
Maybe they just felt like the Underlord into the Bristle was going to give Aurora too much of a window into this game. Like, if that Bristle got farmed, maybe you don't shut him down, maybe you can't get as aggressive or have as strong a laning phase as you want, then what do your matchups actually look like for that hero?
Sure. The Timbersaw gives it so it's like, okay, even if the Bristleback gets farmed, you're still going to be able to crush him.
Yeah, you can you still have ways to deal with him in the mid game or deal with him in that farm window where he gets Bloodstone or whatever.
Yeah.
You have more wiggle room. Maybe just feels more comfortable here. And of course, the Pango can still buy you some auras if you want them here. Could get a Greaves pipe, whatever you want to do. He can scale if he's having a really good game.
I actually don't know if people have been doing this seeing red facet, right, for the Bristleback, just to make sure they still have quills for their passive instead of the goo.
Yeah, the vision thing is really weird, though.
Yeah, I feel like very rarely people ever activate the seeing red.
Yeah, it's really confusing, honestly, if you haven't played with it a lot.
It's just like, I feel like when people take that facet, they're saying, I just want normal old Bristleback, please. Don't change him with whatever facet nonsense is going on.
Yeah,
5-man
look at
smoke
this.
up from Aurora, late one, to see
Yeah.
if they can get a smoke wraparound to catch an early first blood. But Nouns are doing something similar here, and they're going to be mirroring each other on the map.
I like this. Aggression from Aurora. We're not going to sit back this game. We're going to take the fight to you. Look for the early first blood. Look for some action.
Yeah, this might be the only time you see Aurora on the Nouns side of the map.
Yeah, the next time will be the 30-minute mark
True.
when they decide to make the second move of the game. No. It will not come to that.
I like how we're already setting this narrative, despite the new roster that we haven't seen.
I mean, this game
in
does-
motion yet. It could be just an entirely different team.
It could.
but-
Also, I don't want to curse this game, but I feel like both these lineups don't want to just sit and farm forever. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of playmaking on both sides. You have heroes that can start the fight. You have heroes that want to fight often and early and don't have long cooldowns, don't need a lot of resources. You're kind of looking at a lot of, like, one item and go, right?
Yeah.
Damn, that posture for Ovid is S tier. Holy. This guy has been training, dude. I had to throw that out there because I will say I think there's a lot of bad postures in the world of Dota. Look at this man. He is. That is some S tier.
That is a
top of the
straight
chart,
back
dude.
right
That
there.
is beautiful right there. That's why he's a mid lane dominator. This will be an interesting season for Ovid. I think it's a player that, to me, has always stood in that like top 5 mid laners in the world when he's in form, but never really got those TI results that I think his pedigree called for.
And then having this last year on top of that, where he definitely fell out of that conversation, I think, of top 5 mids in the world,
Right,
just
is
because
he
he
even
wasn't
there?
on the same kind of team that, held
mean-
that. I mean, there's only so long that you can get these, 9th through 12th and 13th through 16th placements, or failing to even, potentially qualify for a LAN.
Yep.
And still be in that conversation of one of the best mids in the world.
I mean, that's an interesting. Like, is Ovid in the top 5 right now? Part of me thinks skill
I
wise,
wouldn't say so.
I agree. I don't think he is, but part of me still feels he can be, right?
Sure.
Like, skill wise potential. This guy, you can't sleep on him. He can easily just have a tournament where he's 10-0, 12-1, 11-2. Like, he just dominates games very quietly. And so we're going to try and start off strong in these side lanes, particularly on the Lich lane, looking for the early kill. This is a strong laning duo.
Well played. They took advantage. They got the level 2 first in this matchup, and with the extra set of spells from both a Void Spirit and a Lich, they pushed for first blood and managed to get it on Lilith.
You're not going to fight this duo if they get that level 2 first. Between the Frost Shield plus the extra sustain on the Void Spirit going in and trading 2 heroes hit by the shield, it's way too much HP to get through. Just building up the wand charges as well. So this lane should go well based off that first blood now for T2000. He's going to free farm here. Unless some rotation comes through later on through the gate, you combine the supports.
My initial thought of this new Pangolier and going for the Thunderbolt facet was that it was going to be predominantly a mid laner and wasn't going to be offlane as much, just because I felt like if you're not taking that double bounce to the shield crash, that's a big part of your survivability in the offlane section. So I feel like if you are going the Thunderbolt fashion and you are throwing the hero in the offlane, it's got to be a lot weaker in that laning
Isn't
phase.
it Thunderhead? Or am I just
I don't remember what it was called.
Thunderbolt.
What Thunderbolt sound? It's a fast ball. That sounds like a good facet.
It's like a
name for it.
Pokemon name. It's a move name, bro. You're in the wrong game.
All right.
Disruption fighting for the Lotus. That's a little early. He didn't get it.
Yeah, that's
What was
awkward.
that?
Q.
Like, that was not even
It is
close.
called Thunderbolt.
Is it actually?
Yes.
Where did
got
Thunderhead come
doubt
from?
myself.
Where did Thunderhead come from?
I don't know. That one makes no
Oh,
sense.
that's the Razor one. That's the Razor facet.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking of.
Uh-huh.
Which, if you think about it, doesn't really make sense. Like, this one should be the Thunderhead, and the Razor one should be the Thunderbolt.
No, Thunderbolt implies something that's fast, which the ball is going faster.
Yeah,
so
whatever.
Of course.
We'll leave it up to the general public here.
All of the public agrees with me because nobody agrees with your weird ass logic.
All right, important thing to keep in mind
Uh-huh.
as these early lanes develop on the side lanes for Aurora is, one, it looks like they're going quite well for them. The mid's just going to be a kind of free farm lane trade. CU gets power runes later on, but I'm really looking towards the ancient stacks here for both teams. I think the ancient stacks for Aurora, you definitely want to come out early and first here. You want to get the stacks up for the Bristle so he can be the most farmed hero coming out of that 10 minutes. But then at some point, you kind of want stacks for the Luna as well. Or even this Pango to just roll through. I don't know how often we're going to see something like that.
Would it be Luna or Timbersaw? Timbersaw's really good at clearing
Timber,
through
yeah, I
stacks.
guess Timber off the mid can also do it. Depends how active he is. That's really going to be your acceleration here for both teams. But right now, it seems like Aurora they are cruising through this early game. Not a lot of harass on their cores. Both the side lane heroes super happy right now. Jab's basically free farming. And if you get through the first 2 levels on Bristle, you kind of become untouchable. Like, yeah, you can rotate and kill this hero, but it ends up usually costing you more to do it than you get out of it.
Yeah, like even if you do kill him, he does so much damage to you. He comes right back, full resources, and just owns the lane. Right?
That's the problem with this hero. It's just not efficient to deal with him until you have super high efficient damage online. There's not a lot of heroes that give you that early in the game.
The mid lane matchup, Copy's doing pretty well for himself. 21-6, a lot of denies for this matchup of Timbersaw versus Puck. So doing very well there. Even if the side lanes are going pretty good for Aurora. And still managed to get a refill on his bottle, which Abed tried to deny and contest. So that harassment that he's been doing to Copy probably won't end up leading to a kill, but we'll see.
Man, Gunnar is not having fun in this early game. In this Pango Void Spirit matchup, man. He is getting dominated on the CS chart. Almost doubled up at this point. I mean, the extra base damage here, no joke on this Void Spirit. That's the one thing he has going for him in any of these matchups, including those mid matchups. But he just built the straight stats. T2000 not been harassed early because the Lich is zoning them.
Oh no, the cookie put him in the wrong direction. It did manage to get the double stun, but it puts Gunnar far too deep onto the Aurora side. That actually lives with below 20 HP there.
Yeah, Wand Charge is doing some work. Still, the thing that remains is you're not burning anything out of this Void Spirit, so he doesn't have to invest in any amount of regen. He's completely free farming the lane, abusing the base damage advantage, getting the Lotus. Not a fun lane for Gunnar.
Oh, drinking Buddy's action to get that extra damage. Trying to punish Jabs, where you could see what you're talking about. You try and put pressure onto the Bristleback, but it's just going to end up costing you too much. Those quills start adding up, and now Yuma is going to get run down by Jabs. There's no way out of this one.
He is not fast enough to disjoint this, I think.
Stacks on stacks through the Shadow Poison and the quills. And even while the Luna is gone, they can kick Fly out of here, so no CS for him either.
I don't like that aggressive move from Nouns. Like, you missed your window to punish this Bristle on the lane. At that point, you just have to get stacks up for the Luna and try and match his efficiency. This is not a hero you can trade well into. It's the strength of him as a hero right now in the meta. Really need a good core mount. Like, you have to pick, like, Razor or something, you know. This Luna Tusk is not enough to do it at this point when he's full and has full wand charge like that.
First power rune coming up.
Ooh, Copy would love this.
And it ends up being bottom lane where Abed and...
that is such a good rune here.
Yeah.
Such a good rune. You're looking at these stacks. They're going to get scouted out, but can you do anything about this? And look at the stack differential. It is absolutely massive right now. This is the power of the Shadow Demon. Nouns know this. They are very familiar with this hero and what it can do. You have some stack stealing potential with the Timbersaw, but that's why that amp damage rune is so valuable right now. You're just going to block off the map. These moves from Nouns are no longer viable into the Puck potential to rotate. And Abed instantly going top. He wants Yuma a second time.
Disruption on a Luna with Abed having an amp damage. It is no contest. Yuma is very dead here. And any supports to try and come in to save him are going to die as well. So Fly doesn't even try. He's going to go for a steal on the Wisdom Rune, but I believe Aurora is going to be back in time. Yeah, he's even spotted.
You get a courier. That's not too bad.
And he'll have to TP out. Oh, Coil's going to stop that one, so they'll find a second kill out of all this one. And they give it to Abed, too. So Abed, if he takes some of the stack as well, man, he is going to be massive.
He might stay around for some of the experience.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jabs will get a lot of the last hits here, but again, a very efficient early game here from Aurora. They have not expended a lot of resources to get to where they are right now outside of some stacking. They still won both side lanes. They got the power rune. Also, shoot in, might reveal a ward here. Comes down to this Timbersaw. Like, how much pressure can you exert right now as Copy? Get your team back on the board. Look towards that 8-minute power rune.
I feel like, yeah, okay, they can have the hard camp stack, but that ancient stack, it's got to be something you have to contest. That is way too valuable. And I think Copy is the only one who can really go up there with the way this laning phase has gone for Aurora. Up 2K so early on.
I just don't know if you have the support power to do it. Timbersaw's tanky. He's not invincible. Void Spirit can rotate.
Oh, no!
Oh, my.
Oh, Jabs. Making use
What a monster.
The little guy to deny an arcane rune away from Timbersaw.
That's a big
gotta
play
hurt.
here. That's actually big. That rune would have gone to the Timbersaw. Would have maybe enabled that invasion.
Got her in some trouble. Carry coming in. Think they have him. All they need is just a little bit of disables. Gunner's not going anywhere. Not without his level 6. Goes for a swashbuckle. He
Got the
does
range
have a
up.
shield crash. Maybe he just gets out of sight. And Aurora don't even really bother chasing. I guess in some ways, just like the situation from before, damage is done even if they don't kill him. He's having to stay out of this CS almost entirely. Comes in now to try and get his level 6 by clearing out the wave. Pops his level 6, but he doesn't manage to get off that Rolling Thunder in time. He dies, but I guess he got the ult for future play.
Yeah, Offlane is just not gone their way at all. And TA2000 is absolutely huge as a result. He has all that experience I was saying this hero needs. And he's just going to go into perhaps Battle Fury here?
That sounds like standard from what carry Void Spirits used to do, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, well, while we watch this hard camp get cleared away, don't forget that you guys are watching BB Dacha here on Fisher. And, we're going to have a lot more tournaments coming up this next year, so if you guys don't want to miss out on any of the Dota action that's going to be happening, be sure to follow. But back into the action here, Chain Frost goes out, Snowball saves him, and it doesn't actually stick around that fast. It almost stuck around long enough to get the bounces, but instead the Lich dies, and they push for more. Abed is going to run interference, trying to get Jabs out of here in time. Copy. Oh, he goes the wrong direction. Guesses wrong. Jabs cut over to the left-hand side. Gets spotted being greedy like that, though. Yuma, with just a little bit of mini-stun, is enough to get him in the end, while the Timbersaw is cut down by the heavy amount of Shadow Poison action that's stacking up all the heroes, and now the Purge to finish off the Fly as well. They got some kills out of that on the side of Nouns, but Aurora simply just brought too many heroes to the fight. There is no way they're going to be able to outdo a full 5-man of Aurora, who already had a net worth lead to begin with.
4-0 start for this Abed Puck, man. He's just getting every fight he wants. He gets to come in late to the party and clean up. Nobody's focusing him. All the attention is on that Bristle. Nouns felt like they had to challenge Jabs early in this game to slow the Bristle back down, considering how many stacks have been built up. But only your Timbersaw can do that, and there's a lot to deal with him this early on, particularly when you have the levels on the supports. Not a fun fight for Copy at all. Still doing okay on the net worth chart and very strong. But you're starting to give the kind of start to a Puck where this hero feels unkillable.
Trying to catch him, diving onto this tower. The tower is quite low as well, but the TPs are coming in with Sapphire Kisses. They need to get out, but TA2000 has been caught. He's going to jump forward, go to the Bristle back, who almost finished off Lelis, but now he's stuck inside this Thunderbolt Facet. Look at it go, man. He's just rolling around nonstop. The Quills might add up to kill Gunner, and it does, but ultimately, Nouns got what they came for. 2 core kills. And even searching for a support here as well. Abed, though, is waiting. Does manage to get off the silence. The Chain Frost goes over to the Timbersaw instead of the Tusk. The Tusk is on such low HP, but they can't commit to get that kill. No turnaround here. So it'll stay at just the 1-for-2 exchange to the favor of Nouns.
Nouns striking back. Not afraid to just fight straight back into Aurora with, the coil on cooldown. Chain Frost does come up, but TA2000 overextends. Maybe not respecting the amount of little mini stunts that can come out between the punch and the beam. Holds you in a place for a decent amount of time here, and straight into the Eclipse. Yuma getting active. Finds another freebie here.
Man, how did he manage to get so close to him? Must have been Ice Shards probably blocking in the
Look at the invasion.
Lich.
Nouns looking for the stacks. Still got this big ancient stack here. Never got claimed.
Jabs is halfway to his Aghanim Scepter, so he's not close to finishing up Ags, so he can do the stack, the Ancient Stack, very quickly. He has to use this little smoke trick to do it instead, which is actually really clever, especially if they have vision, right? It's like you may not even know the stack is going on unless you actually pay attention, clicking on that area in the map. But, of course, their vision got taken out earlier, so they had no idea Jabs is going to take all that. Nouns not feeling confident enough to complete that invasion.
This will be the diffusal for the Pangos, so some of the early fighting items coming online for Nouns, and I think they are going to have an advantage. I mean, the Battle Fury on the Void Spirit, I I do like it here because you are playing it safe lane. You have to scale through some mechanism and get that jungle farming speed up. And you're still going to hit hard in the fight. I don't think it's that slow. But things like the Diffusal are going to be some of the stronger early fighting items here between the two teams. If Nouns can get another fight or two out of this Pangolier early, I think that's what they're looking for. And they've shown they're not afraid to bring 5 heroes to that exchange.
Sure.
And look who's on top. It's your Timbersaw. Despite the early game being really efficient for Aurora, Copy still found a lot here.
Yeah, there really isn't that much of a difference between all of these cores except for the Pango. Pango, quite a big difference between
Yeah, he
him
got
and the rest
dunked
of
on.
the cores.
He got dunked on. I mean, sometimes Lich gets you, man. Like, that's just how it goes, you know? You go to that lane, you get nuked 3 times, you lose the game, you're like, man, this hero's busted as hell. Then you play it, you go like 0-8. I mean, this hero's garbage as hell. It's the Lich effect.
Oh, maybe it isn't Lich's problem. Maybe it's the player's problem.
That's true. It is a very complex hero. It takes a steeled mind to execute the Lich strategy in the modern age of Dota 2.
14 minutes in, 2,000 net worth lead, and I feel like Copy hasn't gotten any power runes, man. Another one that doesn't quite go his way, though Lelis was able to grab an Invis rune. But he is not getting power runes to activate his Timbersaw, so that net worth lead, not really using it for much.
This is the part of the game where it slows down and we don't see another kill for 30 minutes, I think, and I mean, who's happier with that type of situation? I feel like probably Aurora.
It's got to be Aurora. With
Battle Fury Void Spirit.
Battle Fury and an Aghanim Scepter coming in on the Bristleback. I mean, they're just going to out-farm the hell out of you.
They're also going to outscale you here. I don't think Nouns win Ultra late at all. I don't think it's close. The Void Spirit, Puck, Shadow Demon are going to decimate your cores in this late game. I think there is a decent, nice timing with like 2nd or 3rd Roche with the Luna.
Sure.
Where I think Yuma can carry this game even if these cores are scaling on the side of Aurora, but you have to pick up the pace a little bit.
Tried to get him away, but got him on the red, then pulls him back in. They save him inside the snowball. Can he get off the Rolling Thunder, especially with Luna coming in to give some extra support? The Chain Frost goes out, doesn't. Oh, it actually does manage to bounce over to the Pango, finish him off. Carry will die for that play, but he managed to get a core kill in the process. And now with Big Bad Jabs coming in with his Aghanim Scepter, Nouns, they have to back away. They are still not going to be able to break Aurora and this Tier 1 safe lane tower. Aurora are going to hold their buildings up. They have yet to lose a Tier 1.
Nice little disjoint there from Aurora. Cutting their small losses. A lot of ults expended by Nouns. They got their Pango kill. The Void Spirit's going to continue to farm. They should be happy with that overall. No Tier 1 taken by Nouns. You're looking at this Tier 1 tower damage right now. It's miserable. Just not able to open up the map. And Jabs with the Ags completed there was happy to take the fight. Also, that Aether Lens already done on the Shadow Demon is huge here for Aurora.
Yeah. It's also...
It just makes Q a menace in the fights, particularly versus the Luna.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a nice little mini stun, but you're going to need a whole lot more than that than just the Loosen Beam into Snowball.
Oh,
and apparently
man.
it takes Copy. Copy chases him down after the orb and gets the kill with the double chakrams.
Blink Timber. Proven his worth here in the early game versus the Puck, able to keep the pace and catch him without that phase shift. You'll get the damage in for sure. That's a huge pickup here for Nouns. Not only do you take the most annoying hero off the game for a bit, but it was this Puck with a streak. So that's a lot of gold for Copy. Pushes him back toward the top, and you got that Tier 1 mid off that rotation.
Feels like Nouns were kind of working for that, something like that the last couple of minutes, and they finally got it. They finally got a clean pickoff that can lead to a tower that Luna takes. So now the mid-tier 1 tower is gone. Makes it easier for Nouns to take a little incursion into the triangle. Didn't have any stacks, so nothing for the Timbersaw to take away from the Bristleback, but you know, that opportunity is still open.
That was a really important kill. Also right before the blink came out on the Puck, which changes this hero a lot. It just becomes way harder to take him down in this sort of exchange like that. That was a big window to hit. Really massive find from Copy. Also just for kind of the feel of the game, not an aspect talked a lot about, but you get a kill like that on a hero that's unkillable, it makes a huge difference as you go down the stretch. It just makes you feel like you can at least kill this Puck, even if it's not true.
Sure, it gives you a little bit more confidence in your movements.
The old fake hope, you know.
Disruption into Aether Remnants.
We're going to see that a lot this game, I think. It's one of those older combinations with the Void Spirit that still very strong.
And you're not going to have a save from that Tusk for quite a while. With him going to Pavis, it presumably into Solar Crest, You know, you need a blink snowball to be able to pull you out of that one. Otherwise, Pango's just going to be 100-0 every time.
Stay frosty.
Well, armor rune for Abed. So that shield rune's going to do even more for his survivability. So he could probably just shake off that one little death and say, all right, I'm going to keep playing super aggro.
Very aggressive ward here from Q as well. Straight onto Nouns triangle. Could be a ward they smoke back to at some point, or will allow TA2000 to continue to sit down here in the safe lane, which, by the way, that tower's still up. I mean, this Void Spirit's just gotten to do whatever he wants down here for a long time.
A lot of drawing from the two supports there of Nouns.
Yeah, I mean, you know what they want to do right now. They want to make this smoke move or this incursion into that bottom area of the map, get a kill out of it, take that tower. It's where all the dire vision is right now as well.
Yeah.
In that Radiant Triangle. This is the area you want to move to. Instead, they're just getting scanned up top. I just don't like all the heroes being up here for now. I was like, what are you going to get up here? What's even your best case scenario?
Sinister Gaze and Disruption. Not quite the combo they're looking for, but they still have enough burst damage. Man, he didn't have a chance there. I thought, sure, Pango's going to die 100-0, so maybe the Timber Saw is going to be, you know, the person you need to get initiated on, but it seems like the Timber Saw can't stand up to that kind of damage either.
Just gets absolutely melted and right near the Roche pit. Bad place to die for Nouns. They lose their most important hero on the map and the next most important objective. Be interesting to see what they give this Aegis to. I can see an argument for anybody here.
Agreed.
I mean, Abed's probably unkillable, so it's between the other two. And yeah, the frontliner in the Bristleback makes the most sense.
All right, well, I think Nouns, on paper, their lineup wanted to be able to fight in this period of time. But I don't think there's any way they can against an Aghanims plus the Aghanim Shard on the Bristleback.
Don't have this Luna BKB yet. So a lot of his net worth is not as effective as it looks on paper.
Yeah.
And I think they would have wanted a larger gap between this Luna and the next hero in this game, which is this Void Spirit. It's just not big enough for what these two heroes are supposed to do in the early game.
Battle Fury, Void Spirit is keeping it up.
He is going to be scary this game because I feel like you got over the hurdle here.
Yeah. I think once you get to Battle Fury and then your second item, which is, I feel like, usually Manta, because, hey, you're a universal hero.
Yeah, you're cruising.
That's when you're really online. You got a little bit of a Dispel to make sure that you can use that mobility. Jabs, you're going to see him do the Tormentors. Very, very efficient. I always love when you have at least one hero that could do the Tormentor kind of by themselves. Whereas Nouns, you could see they're going to have to bring most of their team to be able to do this. Big difference in efficiency.
Now, one of the big differences, though, between these two lineups is I feel like Aurora have, not for better or worse, but they have multiple kind of semi-carries built into the lineup between the Puck Bristle and the Void Spirit.
Sure.
I think Nouns have a much more, like, we're all going to go at some point behind this Luna, buff Yuma up with Solar Crest, Drinking Buddies, a save from the Tusk, Snapfire throwing some spells in, or maybe a cookie to help you chase. And then auras from the Pangolier, which there was a pipe coming out for the Pango. There's a Greaves coming out for the Snap.
Yeah.
This Luna, in theory, is going to have a lot more buffs behind here compared to maybe just the Lich Armor on the opponent side that might just go into this Bristleback or Void Spirit.
Is that 4 Protect 1 or 4 Enable 1? Is that even good, though, against Shadow Demon?
That's the big question. I mean, the last support this Luna would want to play into with a buff lineup is probably the Shadow Demon, who not only can purge you, ruin your BKB timing in the fight, remove some of those buffs, make them less effective, and also disrupt you, turn Luna illusions against you. It's rough, man. I mean, and this is a very farm Shadow Demon. This is not a broke Shadow Demon you can just kill in the backline easily. Q is big, man. He's got Aether Lens Blink. He's already level 11. He is going to get his spells off in the fight. You can't stop it here. There's no chance. So you have this BKB on the Luna, but look at how defensive Nouns are right now during this time.
Oh, found him in the trees. Good catch by Abed thanks to that ward that they placed out. Getting the big stunner out of the way means that Aurora, with the advantage they already have with net worth as well as the Aegis, they are free to take this tier 2. There really isn't a way for Nouns to stop this one.
This is looking rough on the map right now for Nouns.
Yeah.
This lead has not exploded yet, but it easily could here in the next few minutes. You're getting pushed back a lot. Only the Luna's really out on the map. And again, this is your BKB timing where this lineup would want to fight around when the Luna's strong.
I mean, frankly, I'm a little bit surprised Copy even came back to the mid lane. I thought he was just going to push out top. while
they
the
wanna
Luna
fight,
pushed
right?
out bottom, but
Like, they feel good about their position in terms of where their lineup's supposed to sync up. But the Pango's too important for them in terms of starting the fight, giving you the lockdown. Every time Gunner dies, it slows all of that down. It gives more time for the split push to happen between the Puck and the Bristle, taking off the side lanes.
which do you think is more important in this game, though? The auras or the initiation? Like, do you think Pipe is the right play for the Pango, or do you feel like it would be better for him to just get a Blink Dagger to make sure they can start fights on their favor? Because it seems like we just aren't seeing that happen at all.
I almost lean towards the Blink in a way. I think Pipe is a potentially stronger item in the game for what your lineup wants to do. But with how farmed the Shadow Demon is, it feels like if you don't find Q in these fights as the game goes later and later, it's not going to be fun for you. Because then you're just fighting head up into Aurora. Like, you're putting this Luna on the front line, putting the Timber on the front line, and one of them is just going to get demonic purged, disseminated.
This Timber Saw is not tanky at all, man.
He really is not.
Took a beating from Jabs. He probably didn't have any of his passives stacked up. So, okay.
Oh,
Blink Dagger is going to be able to help him catch Kaori. So they get to a backline hero in the Lich, not the Shadow Demon, but it's still good enough for them to drop ults for, I guess. Double ults.
All right, I would have leaned towards the Blink was necessary on the Pango this game. I think even for small stuff, it shows. They also went a BKB on the Timber Saw. So when you go these BKBs on your cores, you need someone to start the fight.
Yeah.
As the BKB should fly out for the Void Spirit here. Man, he's so farmed, dude. This is disgusting. I mean, he is about to eclipse a Luna.
Yeah, Luna's one of those heroes that's like a little bit like an alchemist, right? In that you're supposed to be ahead. You have
100%.
such good farming mechanisms. You need to be able to operate with a 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 net worth lead over the enemy carry, and that's just not happening.
I do think this hero does a better job at playing from behind than it used to. It's not the end-all, be-all if your game's a little slower, but...
I do also think it plays
want
better
the
against Shadow Demon than it used to because
Yes,
of
the glaives.
the glaives, right?
Yep.
Gonna be jumped, though. Has the BKB, and is gonna be forced to use it. Otherwise, the Aether Remnant is gonna spell his doom, but has to use the BKB to run away. And Jabs, he's not gonna care too much about that one. The coil goes out. The snap stun is gonna end up hitting him for a little bit of time there, and that's enough for TA2000 and Jabs to close the distance and finish him off. Copy, though. He's going in with his own BKB, trying to kill Carry again. Realizes he won't have the damage fast enough. Has to use the rest of his time to TP out. Gunner the rest of his Thunderbolt to roll away. Again, Nouns cannot seem to find the initiation to a team fight. They have found pickoffs that they felt good about, and like, you know, that pickoff in mid, that'll let them take the tower and stuff, but have we seen them win a single team fight?
Nope. They've not been able to find the openings. They aren't starting really anything on their terms. If anything, it's been TA2000 starting more of these fights than anybody on the Nouns side.
Yeah. I mean, with his BKB, he's untouchable. They have no stuns to stop him.
Yep.
Try and get a Walrus Punch on him. I dare you. He's got 2,300 HP. He's not going to go down easy, and he does tons and tons of damage.
I mean, the thing is, whoever you go on has way more than that. That's part of the issue with this Shadow Demon hero, is this defensive disseminate is also pretty disgusting when your heroes get this high up in HP.
Yeah.
Like, it turns this 2,300 HP hero on the front line into an almost 3,000.
Yeah, going to Bristleback, he's spraying a bunch of quills at you, but if he gets, you know, disseminate there as well, the damage is turning around. It's immense, and you could see it there as Copy falls over inside of that coil. And Nouns may have to use another round of their BKBs defensively, though Yuma holding on to his for now. TA2000 pops his BKB, chase for the kills. They're going to get fly out of it, certainly. Yuma, not caught by the Aether Remnant, slowed down a little bit by the Quills. Yuma's going to pop his ultimate here with the Thunderbolt. Oh, the Disruption comes out. He's still going to be coming back into danger territory as Yuma tries to finish him off. And finally, they need the Timber Saw's touch to bring him down. Gary, next up on the table, gets the grab. Two of them locked together. Do manage to finish off the Pangolier, but now Copy has to use his BKB to get back up to the high ground, as ultimately they can kill one of these cores, but the semi-cores are proving to be too difficult. It's three of them you're having to contend with. You bring down the Bristleback, sure, but the Puck and the Void Spirit are having absolute free games.
Just dancing on him here. Absolutely dancing on with these mobility cores. Not enough lockdown in the tank. Even with the massive buyback here, that's just going to cost Copy his entire game if this game even continues. Not enough damage in the tank. And that is the downside of letting this game go later and later with such a start for the Puck and Void Spirit, you don't shut them down at some point. They're going to start to take over the fights. You don't have the auras to sustain you like you might have in some of those previous patches. Very tough position for Nouns. They just also never got this Luna to the Conda. So that beam burst is it's not good enough to carry you through the fight. I mean, we're seeing the damage numbers here from Nouns. It's just been lackluster across the board.
Abed leading the way, and the rest of Aurora following suit now as the two cores will deal the damage to the buildings while Abed does the hero damage to keep Nouns at bay. It's going to be 2 lanes of barracks. The only thing that's really going to buy Nouns a second life here and a little bit of breather is the fact that they still have a tier 2 up in the top lane, so Aurora can't go for the full house here, but
just what's the pathway to win a fight right now? I mean, it's Conda Luna, and you have to find one hell of an opening with this Pangolier.
yeah, you're going to need to do it out around the Roshan pit.
Yep.
Win that fight, take Roshan for yourself, and that's going to be a tough fight. 16,000 net worth lead for Aurora, but they also have this tier 1 tower left in the offlane. So they can still play off of buybacks for the Roshan fight as well.
That is such a good luck rune right there.
Yeah.
Octarine Puck picks up an amp damage rune.
It's pretty nasty.
That's one of the things you're gonna go in the fight. You're gonna click Abed, and all right.
Oh, they spotted the Shadow Demon. Just who they want to be able to see. They lost sight of him, though, especially as the smoke goes up. They dive into the trees, hoping to be able to find him, but he already blinked away, especially with his Aether Lens. They spot him now. They get on top of him. Okay, see if they can kill him before the disruption goes off. The chain stuns are there, but it's taken so long to kill him, and now they're all grouped up for AoE destruction. Aurora gonna demolish this Nouns lineup in game 1. I wouldn't be surprised if they just want to call it here now.
I mean, yeah, there's no more gas left in the tank for this lineup. Like, you missed your Luna timings in this game. The side lanes did not go nearly as well, and you are not outscaling Aurora here. It's not even close. That is the power of the Void Spear pick, which honestly looked pretty good. Like, if you can win the lane phase with this hero, and then at some point you're just getting almost solo kills with the Void Spear versus the Pangolier, I don't know if that should happen. I think there's a lot of argument that lane should have gone better for Nouns. Even with those heroes, I don't think it was that bad of a matchup. But if it goes like that, I mean, TA2000 is going to play this hero every time because the hero doesn't really have a lot of other weaknesses if he has a start like that. He scales like an absolute monster. He's a mobility hero. He's a backline killer. He can man-fight a lot of carries because he's universal. Battle Fury lets him farm. Maybe Battle Fury is not the strongest item in the entire world of Dota 2, but it's pretty good on a hero like that doesn't really have another mechanism to farm jungle fast or take stacks or do anything like that. And even here, like, you're looking at the 10-minute mark, look at who's on top of that chart. It's the Void Spirit. That is an amazing position to be for Aurora in this game. And now they brought some of the fight towards this Bristle. We saw how much pressure they tried to put on Jabs to shut this Bristle back down. But that is where I go to. You just don't want to play against this hero, man. Because it feels like the more you invest in shutting Bristle back down, the more damage he does to your lineup, your mentality, your economy, your early game. It's just such a time and energy sink to do anything to this hero. It feels miserable. I would not want to play against Bristleback in this current meta with almost anything, to be honest. And maybe we'll see some answers that get developed, but man, this hero is an absolute nuisance.
I feel like there was such a massive difference in impact between the two offlanes, right? A Bristleback
100%.
compared to a Pango, the lane went very different. The team fights very different. I mean, they really couldn't just jump and kill the Bristleback the way that the Pango did time and time again. And even the fights where they managed to find the initiation through the Pango, they still didn't go that well. It was just a bit too late, I think, for all of that.
And I think that's going to be one of the most important pieces of the puzzle for this tournament as we go through. Like, what does your offlane pool look like? What are you willing to give enemies, and how do you respond to them? And what are your answers? Do you have answers for heroes like the Bristleback that are not, we have to commit multiple ganks towards the hero and multiple counter picks and whatever? Yeah. Same with the Visage.
I mean, they that's why they picked up the Timbersaw, right? It's like,
exactly.
Okay, we needed an answer to this Bristleback. They thought the Timbersaw was going to be it. It's been very successful as well, but
I think their lineup is good against Bristle. I don't think this lineup is a bad lineup against Bristleback. I think you have tools to deal with him. They were able to take him down. He has 3 deaths in this game. Some of those were easier than others. They got him once in the team fight post BKB. It cost them a big Timbersaw buyback. Their early game was just not good enough. If this offlane for Nouns goes a lot better and they're able to maybe gank the Bristle with the Pango sooner because he's having a better game, the Void Spirit's behind the Luna, This game could look absolutely different. I think a lot comes down to the execution there, not necessarily the draft. But it is a big question. It just feels bad to playing into this hero because he just does things way better than most other heroes right now.
Do you think offlaner still, the offlane hero pool still is the driving mechanism of a lot of the meta right now, like it has been the previous years, last few years?
I think so. I think offlane just kind of determines how fast games are in the modern age of Dota 2. Generally, the carry mid can sometimes do it, but they're mostly just damage dealers. There's not a lot of variance in the 1 and 2 pool in terms of huge playstyle shifts. We're not seeing a lot of mid lone druid or.
Sure.
I mean, I'd say carry Furion was maybe the biggest one, and we saw how effective that could be in the hands of like Liquid at TI, how fast you can play with that hero and just destroy the entire map. But outside of stuff like that, they're mainly going to fill the same roles. They're damage dealers, they're spellcasters, they're getting in there, they're giving you the scaling presence you want, either through right clicks or scaling nukes such as Puck, who just becomes untouchable in the late game and you can't do anything, so he wins the fight by default. Your offlaner is the one who's determining when you're kind of going towards the Roshan, when you're doing ancient stacks, when the auras are coming out, how early you're fighting, the initiation power. If that doesn't go well for you, it feels as though you're on a massive back foot in a lot of these games.
How do you feel about Aurora? Like, speed-wise, they weren't slow at all. I think they were a very
good.
active team.
Yeah, not the fastest game I've seen, but for them, it might have been in the top 10% of fastest game. Like, it felt natural. It felt very efficient and natural. They didn't feel like they were under a lot of pressure. I don't think many of their moves were forced. I think TA2000 looked great. Felt like he knew where he wanted to go. The moves made sense. They went to the right areas of the map. The puck rotations top as well from Abed made a lot of sense. I think both TA2000 and Abed looked very natural in this game. Fit well together. They played the team fights well.
Yeah,
strong early start for them. It definitely showed a lot of the potential in this roster. If they can control the early games like that, they don't have to be the fastest team in the planet. That's not what I'm saying. They don't have to be Liquid Gaimin, like, 15-minute stomp, we're going high ground at 20, and the game's over. I don't need to see that from this Aurora lineup for them to be one of the best teams in the world. I just need to see some moves being made.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the AFK on triangle for 40 minutes, and then we make a move.
All right, don't forget you're watching BB Dacha. Of course, if you guys want to be sure to don't miss any of the games that are going to be happening here, be sure to follow this channel. Don't forget there's a second stream as well where the Group B is currently being played as well. But for now, we're going to go to a break and come back with Game 2 of Aurora versus Nouns. Welcome back, everybody. We're setting up for Game 2 of Aurora versus Nouns, where we just saw Game 1 happen, and Aurora took it to Nouns, man. It really didn't feel like that game was quite close at all.
No. I don't think Nouns got to do a lot of what they wanted to do with their lineup. I saw glimpses of it when they can fight behind this Luna Timber, but they're just not tanky enough to front line versus the damage that Aurora brought in that Game 1.
Adjustments going into Game 2, ban the bristleback. I mean,
maybe. I don't mind. I mean, I personally really hate playing against that hero right now, but it's not a reason necessary to ban it if you have answers, particularly early on in the tournament. You just don't want to have to ban a hero for the entire event because of one game. It's not a good way to go about it. You have to lane better versus that hero, though. It's a big part of it. I think the side lane execution for me in that Game 1 versus Nouns was the biggest issue. Just not up to par. The Pangolier was pretty unacceptable in terms of it has to go better. You can't give a Void Spirit that kind of start. Like giving the level 2 first and just getting nuked down, I mean, you're just screwed from that point. And I think that top lane going into the Bristle, the timings in which they went on him just felt a little off to me. I think with that hero, the biggest thing is you slow him down on the lane so that you can slow down the stack progression. He's a little behind on the levels. Maybe you have a chance to invade. Maybe you can block a couple of things, and then his game's just way slower. When he goes into that first fight, you have more opportunity to kill him. And all that starts with, honestly, the first 2 minutes in lane versus the Bristleback are the most important because that's when the hero's vulnerable. That's when the trades aren't as bad for you versus the level 2 Quills and onwards. And I think you need heroes with really strong nukes. Just start instantly throwing them out. We're going to see Nouns get Radiant again here. So the laning setup might be a little better for them. I think teams prefer the Radiant side for the laning. That might help a little.
And they're also going to get second pick as well since Aurora chose first pick. So
it's still execution, though. Like, that's not an outdraft type game. It's just, it comes down to who's playing the side lanes better in the 2-on-2. And you have to be really crisp with this stuff in the laning stage. We saw that at TI. If you want to play against these really, really strong laning teams in the world, I don't even think Aurora is in that category. Not to fault them, but it's just not their strength. You know, this is not a Liquid Gaming type team where they're going to decimate your laning stage and you have to really worry about it. So if you're struggling now, step it up and then you're going to find some momentum. I think first, the heroes like the Bristle and the Visage and the Beast are the three that come to mind where if you don't get that punish in the first 2 minutes, they get away with a lot more than a lot of other heroes. And that punish is not easy on a really high competitive level. You have to execute it really well. It's there, you can do it, but you need the right heroes and you need to play it well.
We clearly saw Nouns had the idea of being able to contest these things. We saw them get vision into the triangle. We saw them try and get... It's just the things didn't come together. And, and what you're saying is it stems off of winning your lane in the first place.
I think the macro game was there. The micro game was just not.
Sure.
I think the Tusk Luna lane is good versus Bristle in the game, so you don't have to win that lane as hard, but it's not the strongest lane versus the Bristle directly. Tusk is okay at interacting with Bristle in a kind of 3-on-2 or 3-on-3 situation, but in the 2-on-2, I think it's a little rough because his early nukes just aren't that good.
I mean, you set it up from, you're like, okay, he's already level 2. You don't want to fight him past this point. Once he hit level 3, you're like, you don't want to fight him, and then they try to fight him.
That level 3 trade was never going to work out if he's full HP. If he was half or you chip him down, I could see that. But Bristle, he's just tough, man. If you mess up, that hero really takes advantage of it. So we're going to see a lot of similar bans here, but Nouns get that fourth ban. They're going to take out the Shadow Demon. It's kind of the luxury you have here. You get to ban 4 supports if you're Nouns.
Yeah, they ban all the meta supports and then throw in a carry Phoenix on top of that.
This is a pretty heavy committal, though. Like, you're leaving every core in the pool. So if Aurora want to force a trade or get a super high priority hero, they can do that. Depends on which core they want to pick up here. I mean, they could just snag the Bristle again if they're super confident in it. Could go for something like the Visage. They could go for the Beast. They could go for a mid hero. Nope, they'll go for absolutely none of that, and they will just take Clockwork because all the supports got banned, so you got to take what's left in the pool, right?
Sure.
Now, if you're Nouns, you can answer with the Tusk if you want to do that kind of trade. You could take one of those cores I mentioned yourself, which I think is probably the better option because...
Especially since you're going into another phase of bans.
Yeah, you only get one more ban here anyway, and so it will be the Beast. So one of the 3 I mentioned, I think that's an absolutely fine route as well. Like, I think you're taking either the Bristle, Beast, Visage there, or you're just going to trade supports if you really value one of those and you're not too worried about getting one of these heroes anyway.
I think this Beastmaster that has come back into being a top-tier offlaner, S-tier, it's not as strong with the Aghanim Scepter as it used to be, right? Undoubtedly. But I almost feel like the Beastmaster is scarier because you can go the Aghanim Scepter, or you can go the more popular build right now, which is the Helm of the Overlord.
I think it's all about the helm. It's become more of a zoo hero again. You're trying to hit that really nice timing. I mean, we've seen some crazy fast Helm of the Overlords.
Yeah.
I think 33 had, a 12.5-minute Helm of the Overlord at TI. He just had no other item, just straight Helm of the Overlord into Roshan at 13 minutes. That is stupidly fast.
And that's the problem for me, is that in some ways, no matter which route you go, it is still kind of the same hero when it comes to item progression into Roshan.
Oh, 100%. He's looking to do the same things. He's looking to pick up that pace, accelerate his team, get early Roshans, just barrel down the towers. You have to have outspam versus hero and slow him down. You have to have a good lane versus him, similar to a lot of these other offlaners, so his pace isn't as good. Disrupt the ancient stacks if you can do it, and have a carry that interacts with this hero. There are carries that do well versus Beast, not only in the lane, but in the game. Things like the Gyrocopter, right, that can meet him head on at any point almost.
Yeah.
Are you willing to play that type of carry, though? And are you willing to enable it? I could see some of those come back. I could see something such as a support-enabled gyro. Something like the old days. IO gyro, Lich gyro, Wyvern gyro, right? A lot of these combinations absolutely crush Beastmaster laning stage and mid-game. But you have to be willing to play them or have players that are confident on those types of heroes that might not be the super top meta pick right now and might feel a little wonky. Do you have faith in Gyrocopter compared to other carries? That's a big question mark, but it can perform really well. It could be something Aurora go down, particularly if they want to play a game similar to that game 1 where they have a bunch of, not semi-carries, but they split the carry load across 3 cores. Gyro fits that pretty well.
Ban away TA2000's Medusa and take Tusk for themselves once again.
Yep. 3 big ranged carries banned for this kind of melee offlaner pool.
Yeah, I mean, Gyro is kind of one of the last range carries left.
Oh, is it the IO Gyro?
Beastmaster.
I mean, it could be the IO Gyro, man. It's looking pretty good here, honestly. I think it's a pretty good combination versus the Tusk as well, because until he has kick, he can't displace the IO tether.
Nouns, eSports.
Ooh, that's sweet. That's sweet, right? I like that from Aurora. I actually think this puts so much pressure on Nouns. I think it's one of the stronger combinations versus the Beast, not only in the lane, like I said, but the game. It can meet you on the tempo. It's an Ancient Farmer as well, so Aurora they don't have to take an Ancient Farmer off lane now. They can take something like the Visage and feel really confident with the structure elements of their draft. And it's a combo that also fights the Tusk early. The Rocket Barrage plus the sustain is pretty nasty for this hero to skirmish into. Nouns really need a tether abuser, something like Grimstroke, Lich. I would say that Earth Spirit, but of course he got banned. Something to either break this tether up and cause havoc in the fight, or just abuse the clump. Wyvern, I would say, could be another go-to, but we have not seen a lot of this hero, and it's not as good versus IO as it used to be.
No.
There is AA, another wildcard hero that is quite good versus IO.
You do have a lot of stunts to set up that Ice Blast. So
their lineup works well with it, but it's a little dubious versus Clock, and you don't see the offlaner. That's the scary part here. Like, if you end up playing against Clock Visage, I don't think you can pick the AA here. I think the Clock Visage threat is way too nasty, and Jabs will absolutely play that. But I'm kind of in that support vein. You could also just puck here if you're Nouns, right? This is a hero that does scale pretty well versus the IO Gyro in some capacity. Can be a hero that's hard for Aurora to lock down right now and put a lot of stun pressure on their lineup. Give you a lot more fighting power, but then you really need some damage coming out from that last support. And they'll go for the Copy Monkey. Could still be a safe lane monkey, but we've seen this more in the mid for Nouns a lot.
It's similar vein to the Puck in that it's a good hero at getting on top of and quickly killing the IO, right?
It can get on top of the IO, burst him. It can also just take the team fight straight up into the Gyro, which is why I said this could be safe lane monkey. This is one of the carry matchups that's pretty nice for Monkey King, because you can just go in the Roche, Wukong, Gyro has to run into it. It's pretty obnoxious. Not a lot to burst this monkey right now either. It gives you a strong laning phase. It can also be a hero that you lane mid into a puck pick if Aurora take it up, which is important to have here. Gives you like another mini stun mechanic.
And they take Lich, who I was thinking about just as, not quite Ancient Apparition, but still kind of good against the IO Gyro.
I think the Lich and the Grimstroke were the two best supports to give you the damage and punish the clump. And they got the Monkey plus the Lich. Very nice answer here. Very strong lane. Absolutely gives you the flex potential between mid and safe lane monkey now, guaranteed.
Isn't the Visage still?
It's an option.
Really scary though.
It's an option for sure. I do think Lich Monkey can be scary for Visage, honestly. It's a, I mean, that's a very back and forth lane.
They opt for the Enigma instead, one of the other ranged offlaners that has been very popular, though his win rate was not that good.
This hero's strong, though. It is very strong. Even if his win rate doesn't reflect that, because I think he can be a little hard to close games out with.
I think he's also easier to deal with in some ways than the Visage, because a big part of the Enigma when it comes to laning phase is the Eidolons, and you've got an AoE nuke plus Boundless Strike, right?
Yeah,
which is really good at being able to deal with summons usually.
Monkey generally deals with Enigma better than most carries. These Eidolons are strong. You have to respect them. But this doesn't look like an Enigma that Nouns have nothing to deal with.
Yeah. It is also just, I mean, you know, we could talk about meta win rate, but specifically player-wise, this is one of Jabs' most successful heroes. So it could just be a bit of player flavor here as well.
It does put a bit of greed on this lineup. Now, I mean, not necessarily greed, but the IO Gyro and the Enigma, they kind of just farm. And if you play hyper fast, this lineup can just come together really early, but that's not always the easiest thing to do if the lane phase isn't super favorable for you on the Enigma lane. So I would look towards a playmaker on mid for sure if you're Aurora here. I don't think you need necessarily more scale. Just something that can enable the fight and make it easy for your IO Gyro to output damage. Another stun would be amazing. There is still Puck in the pool. Kind of absurd to think about. But all the other mid playmakers got banned here.
I feel like if Aurora take Puck, it's not going to be a great game for him.
It doesn't look amazing.
You've got Sinister Gaze, instant catch. You've got a point-and-click stun and Beastmaster Aurora that has always been pretty good against Puck.
But what's left in that vein? I mean, you can cheese pick with Viper or something, but your line it doesn't do anything for your lineup. I would say something like Kunkka, but then you give this mid-monkey matchup, which can be a little awkward, and your early game damage looks awful. That's another component here. You want something with some nukes, I think, in case this IO Gyro can't just absolutely 1v5 the game.
Yeah. Dragon Knight's probably too low on damage. Primal?
Primal's interesting. I wouldn't mind that type of hero. I don't know if the laning phase looks amazing for it, but it does give you kind of what you want in this game with this lineup. Even something like mid-Mars I wouldn't hate, but again, I don't think it's going to come out here. Something of that type of nature.
Maybe nice. Tiny would be a better option than...
Tiny's interesting. That hero's been incredibly unsuccessful lately, though. I don't know how much faith teams have in Tiny right now.
Oh, they go for the Furion.
Mid Furion almost for sure here.
Yeah.
That is a big shift in the way Aurora want to play this game. Because to me, it signals they are going to play really fast. They're just going to swarm you with the summons. You have Eidolons, this Treant now, a lot of early tower taking, and IO Gyro can rotate through the gate.
Yeah, a lot of global presence as well, right?
Yeah, this is a really scary pick from how do we play the first 10 minutes here if you're Nouns? Because you just don't have nearly the same rotation potential. It's not there. You don't have a lot to fight summons. And a Drow. That is not a hero I would have guessed here at all.
No, I don't think so. I mean, especially since I was kind of buying into the Monkey King, even though I know Copy is like, they run Monkey King mid all the time. I was buying more into a Monkey King carry.
Yeah, I don't know what this Enigma Drow matchup looks like. You have some ability to kill Eidolons, but the problem is it's not going to be this Eidolon matchup straight up. It's not going to be a question of, well, can you kill Eidolons and sit there as Drow? It's what happens when the Furion TP's on you?
Yeah, what happens when you get hook shot into relocated on?
Exactly. What happens when IO Gyro goes through the gate and backstabs you at level 6 or something, right? And then this Drow gets kicked to the jungle. Are you happy with that kind of state of the game where this Drow's just jungling and Furion TPing all over the place? Not the type of hero I would have guessed to come out here last pick for Nouns. I personally don't really see it other than they felt like they needed more scale versus the IO Gyro, which is what it does here. It gives you the scale versus the IO Gyro. You will outcarry them.
Yeah, Gyrocopter builds no armor. Right. You've got multi-shot against IO.
But I don't think that's what Aurora were trying to do. Aurora weren't saying, hey, we're going to go 80 minutes and crush you in the late game. This Furion pick was, we're going to run your ass over. And we don't think you have enough stopping power to do anything about it. We don't think you can match the rotations.
And then they pick something that has no stopping power.
Exactly. It just doesn't do anything to combat that. That's where I think this pick is just a little off for me. It is very strong on the ball. And I think Nouns have shown they kind of want to play that same style every time, right? It functions similar to the Luna, a carry that can get buffed up here between the Beast and the Tusk and deal a crap ton of damage through that multi-shot. That part about it is very strong. And if the lane goes well for the Drow versus the Enigma itself before some of those rotations come through, I could kind of see it come together. But man, I feel like this game is in Aurora's wheelhouse in terms of if they execute well, if they own this laning stage, they're just going to roll this game. You still have to respect what Furion can bring to these types of games and the summons power between the Eidolons and the Treant and what these heroes can do with a reload and a rotate and a hook shot. It is a lot of pressure on you on the map.
So would you say that the shoe is on the other foot now and that in game 1 you were down with Nouns' lineup? It just took the execution early to make it work. Do you think now that is Aurora in place where the draft is fine, it's just entirely up to their execution in the first 10 minutes? If they can make that happen, then they should be kind of home free?
I mean, not home free, because I think this Monkey King can be strong this game.
Okay.
Monkey is a very good hero against what Aurora have here. It's a good matchup versus Furion. I don't know what the mid lane matchup looks like because you can't chase him as far, but it should be good for the Monkey in general. There's not a lot to fight Monkey in the early game, basically. So that's the one saving grace here for Nouns. If Copy can really pop off, this could be a 10-0 Monkey King start, right? Easily. If he can play with the supports and just run around and kill everybody, match Furion's rotations. But I do think this Aurora lineup has a really high ceiling. I'll put it that way. There's a lot of room to execute here with how fast this lineup can play and play the lanes well. But it's not easy at all. This is a very difficult lineup to execute to its maximum potential. So a real test for Aurora here. A very interesting test as well. How much can this team execute a lineup like this and really make it work on all the levels that it can? Or does it fall a little flat? Does it fall in that middle zone, but they make it work anyway later on, right?
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting. But to me, a lot for Nouns is on the mid-monkey here. What does this mid-matchup look for Copy, and how much can he get done in the first 10 minutes? Because I am not going to expect too much from the Drow in the first 15 minutes of this game.
Yeah, and I don't know. They nerfed the Ironwood Treant in the early levels, right? But I still think this matchup has got to be really difficult for Monkey.
It's not fun. I still like the Monkey King versus the Furion in general in the game. But Abed should free farm this mid lane, I think, for the most part. Gunnar loses his courier early. Kind of bad courier loss, to be honest. I don't really know how you lose courier instantly as a Beastmaster. But sure. They will take that.
Well, with the lane pulling shenanigans, maybe he won't need too much regen or items thrown his ways. They are going to be cut in the second wave in a bad matchup, or in a lot of these range carry matchups. It's just the most common sense thing to do. Why not just give yourself an easy out for the first level or two?
I will say Lich does not enjoy this Enigma matchup. And I don't think he really enjoys the Drow synergy. I mean, it's fine because you're Lich Drow, 2 ranged heroes with nukes, and you're going to be strong kind of no matter what. But Lich does not really enjoy playing against a lot of the summons heroes laning-wise because he can't get as aggressive as he wants. You have to fight through Eidolons. You don't want to waste nukes on them because of the super high magic resist.
Is he going to get a bunch of free mana, though, from the Eidolons dying?
If they die, yes.
I mean, even if they time out, aren't they dying and therefore he gets mana back for it?
I don't think that counts like that.
Really?
If it does, that sounds super good, but
I'd be interested to see what happens. Well, either way, it's not working out for him, as it looks like he got caught by the clockwork. I feel like this is one of those lanes where you never are on the left side of the lane here.
I would not
I feel like that's a death sentence if you ever get caught in that area.
I would not want to play there with the Lich in this lane, I'll tell you that much. Kind of a bad death as well. We talked about the Lich in the game 1, but to me, the biggest thing with this hero is just you get the first blood, you don't give it away. I mean, it sounds incredibly simple and kind of stupid, but the hero really depends a lot on these early kills because his kit is designed to get it. And they do have some Eidolon clearing.
Yeah, Death Charge says any unit dying within 1,500 range. So
I mean, that part of it's nice for sure. But Aurora were able to strike first, so they're going to have some breathing room on this lane, even if the Eidolons get killed a bit. Flag Bear deny. It's nice as well. Drow is free farming, though. 15 CS, some of that's Eidolons, but very nice start for Yuma on this safe lane. It's once more Gunnar at the bottom of the charts. So Offlane for Nouns has not been doing exactly what they want. However, I mean, this is an IO gyro lane, so it's another kind of a unfavorable matchup for Gunnar.
And while it's unfavorable, it's also a lane that's very often just going to push into him. So
sure.
he should still be able to get all the experience he needs to operate.
Copy doing really well, though. Despite
Yeah, he
the
is.
tree and
Wow.
harass and the annoyance of it, this matchup still looks pretty good for him. If you can just get some hits into the Furion, he has to play a little safe. You cannot give Jingu in this matchup. It's really annoying. The early boots will guarantee it. And, I mean, Monkey has really high armor. Generally why this hero's been good against Furion. He just gets to 10 armor pretty fast in the game. Aurora trying to get aggressive. They'll catch fly again. He's gone.
Yeah, he is very dead, and there's no chance for a turnaround here for Yuma. Nobody's really going to be low. Looks like Gunner got really low in the top lane as well, so
Aurora
just threats all over the place.
bringing some heat in the side lanes once again. Just out executing right here. They'll get the Lotus onto the Wisp as well, which guarantees them lane advantage, and they're just going to pump it straight into Lelis. He's gone here, I think, for sure.
Yeah, he's just going to try and stall his death and get a little bit more damage out with the Snowball, but of course, no way he can outrun an IO Gyrocopter, especially when you're already underneath the tether. Copy making a move here as Jabs went for this dive early and will pay the price for it as Copy TP's in to help save his safe lane. And will be rewarded a little bit for it. So he's making the first step. Abed's going to follow him here, but it is a 2 versus 3. This is not looking the best for Abed as another support goes down, but can he get the kill on Copy in time? Oh, there's now Leela's coming in through the gate to help out. He cannot get the damage fast enough. A snowball pickup, and Copy gets a triple.
The power of the Monkey King, man, in this game. He's going to be a menace. This
Man,
is
you said it could be a 10-0 game for
It
Monkey
can.
King. It's already
Yeah, it's
starting pretty
3-0 in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This might be a 10-0 Monkey King game. It absolutely has that potential. Nobody fights him early in this game. Like, you're looking at, generally the way you fight Monkey in the early game is you cheese him out with really bad matchups like Viper or Queen of Pain or something.
Yeah.
Or you just have a bunch of early game kind of attack speed slows / nukes. This lineup has literally nothing.
Yeah, they do not have any magic damage to be thrown around killing the Monkey
No
King
attack
early.
speed slows, very limited on the stuns and interrupts, very little mobility. It's just a game where you punch people if you're Aurora. You walk up to them and you punch them in the face, and Monkey King is the king of punching you back. And he is top net worth 3-0 start. He is going to be able to maybe control this early game, and you have to counter-rotate that Furion. Cannot let Abed control the side lane pressure here. Doesn't have the ult yet, though. That's a big component for Aurora. Always want to play around this Nature's Wrath.
Yeah, that is the one big burst damage tool that they will have. Maybe you combine that with the IO Gyrocopter relocating in with higher levels
Or
of,
just rotating through the
Rocket
gate.
Barrage. You come through the gate early on at level 4, though it looks like Nouns already know this is coming. Lelis, he spots out the support running at him, and he may pay the price for it, but Yuma is going to be able to slow him down a little bit with this multi-shot. He cannot get isolated, though, by this Gyrocopter IO combination, but here comes Copy to the rescue, perhaps slowing him down a little bit, tanking up some of that Rocket Barrage, and now it's TA2000 who has to make a run for it, but he managed to get the Jingu stacks up, turns that damage back around onto Carry, and they have enough. Rocket Barrage almost gets him, and it does. Finished off Yuma. TA2000 has committed his life to be able to pick up that one kill. Eidolons all over the place in this team fight, though. You said Aurora was just going to run at you and outnumber you with all these extra summons. Well, they tried to do it here. It wasn't good enough to break Nouns, though.
Awkward move for Aurora. I think the timing's a little early for me. Didn't have all the levels on the course you wanted, and the Furion never really made his mark in that kind of fight. Didn't have ult to contribute or anything like that. This Drow just gets to run a huge amount of distance. Now gets to TP back in and continue to farm this safe lane. Kind of an awkward point for that rotation. Maybe when you look back on and go, was there a better point in time to do that? I think the concept is absolutely there. But let's say you made that rotation right now, right? You'd have Wrath of Nature. You would have gotten the Wisdom Rune. I think it would have just gone smoother for you. And now Copy, he's 4-0, man. Working towards that 10-0 mark.
He's got an Orb of Corrosion nice and early on. That's a nice item for Monkey King always, but a little bit of extra bonus against the IO.
He's dead here.
Yep. No way to TP out with double stuns available from the side of Nouns.
Even pick up some of the stack. Get the Wrath of Nature out. Just wasted here. Another huge pickup for Nouns. If they continue to play through this Monkey King, he's just going to 1v5 the game. It is a really strong pick here that was not addressed by Aurora directly. 5-0 start. The 10-0 dream, Austin. We're halfway there, and we're not even 8 minutes in. And these towers still stand. That's the biggest thing for Nouns right now. They've defended their tier 1s really well. They're even getting stacks on top of it with the Beast Mat. This is a very good position for Nouns to be in. They should be really happy with this early game. Maybe you'd want a little bit more farm on the Beast, but honestly, who cares? If you get your Drow and your Monkey off to a good start.
6-4, 8 minutes in. Nouns, while it feels like they are, clearly winning this early game, they're actually not that far up in net worth right now, but they could be after this gank, making the Drow Ranger go through the gates instead of the Gyrocopter catching him farming out. They got him inside the Ice Shards, and that may just be enough for the 2 physical damage dealers to finish him off. Maybe not. The extra movement speed will get TA2000 out of there between the Tether and that Facet. He's good to go. Jab's trying to come in and help out, but now instead of the Gyrocopter dying, it's going to be Jabs as the core that goes down from this aggressive move from Nouns. Oh, almost caught him in the mid lane. The Chain Frost is going to chase after him, but it is not going to catch him in time as he is back to the mountain healing up before the Chain Frost lands. Chiari going to rejoin the Gyrocopter here in a second.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Don't forget to follow the stream. Apologies, guys. We're trying to deal with the little bit of crackling sound we got going on here. We'll hopefully be able to get that squared away pretty soon. So we're crossing over the threshold to 10 minutes in. We said the first 10 minutes for Aurora could be where they take over with this Furion, but the Monkey King has instead been the menace terrorizing this first 10 minutes, and it continues that way. Q getting caught trying to take over some power runes and doesn't manage to find anything. Only death awaits him in this mid lane as Nouns pulling all their heroes into the mid lane to take this tier 1 mid.
Has fallen.
Leading to a 2,000 net worth lead. Early flags picked up for Jabs as Gunner's going to start dealing with his ancient stacks in the way that Aurora have been threatened in the side lanes and mid lane. I don't think they're going to be able to mount an expedition into that triangle anytime soon. So this is probably going to be a freebie for Gunner to clear out ancients and get to an Aghanim Scepter, despite Avery saying, no, Helm of the Overlord is the only way to play Beastmaster. I tried to temper that, saying, there's some Aghanim Scepters. People are still running around. But of course, he foolishly and headstrong said, no, Helm of the Overlord is the only way to play Beastmaster right now. Well, I guess Gunner disagrees. Huh, Avery? What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, Avery. You can't respond? That's too bad. That's too bad. Early Chrysalis for TA2000. We've seen this build quite a bit for some of the Gyrocopters. Just an efficient damage build allows you to farm a lot faster. See him get the Aghanim Scepter a little bit later on. Javelins around. May see some Gleipnirs abound in the future for the Monkey King and Furion.
Top tower is under attack.
Careful now, Avery. Don't touch that dial. Copy. Spot now Q alone in the jungle. Chiari and TA2000 are going to back him up. Oh, fumbled the hook shot there. That maybe could have been the death of the Monkey King. Missed opportunity there for sure. I don't know if it would have actually led to them killing the Monkey King, especially with the Lich coming in with the Chain Frost, but it was at least a chance. Maybe they could have thrown all their magic damage to be able to kill him. Either way, Copy avoids potential death. Pushes back Aurora. They'll get another tower. It's going to be setting up for Roshan with an Aghanim Scepter done for the Beastmaster. A Dire Side 9-time Roshan that could be free for the taking for Nouns. Aurora may find that the snowball has gone the other direction too far. Either way, Copy's going to try and finish up his Maelstrom soon, so Nouns are going to collect all their first big items put together around that 15-minute mark. And we'll see how Aurora is going to be able to respond to it. Anything you want to say from the sideline there, Avery? He said a naughty word that I don't think I should repeat on broadcast. Yuma's got the Dragon Lance ready to go. 2-1-4 build up. I love this new facet, by the way. Makes multi-shot just feel so much better. Just being able to move around while you're multi-shotting. Instead of the debilitating slow that it used to be. Now it's only 25%. Seems something that's actually usable. Force Staff is going to be the first pickup for Fly. Very much needed. Get some of these slows. Obviously, the shard's going to be a big problem. Just trying to get away from some of this Aurora pressure that's going to be coming in. Mech first item for the IO. So you can see difference in utility. Copy going to be jumping on TA2000. Wukong's command already out. Blocked inside the shards as well, but they had the relocate ready to go. They knew this gank was coming. They had a really nice defensive ward. We'll see if Carry's going to die for this. It looks like they're going to fight for it. Hookshot goes out from Q. Dragging Q Fly inside. Nice use of the drinking buddies to pull him outside of the cog. Still, he turns around, throws out the Chain Frost to keep the Aurora aggression at bay. That Chain Frost won't leave Jabs alone. Is he gonna? Oh my god! He almost died. That was insanely bad luck. How did it manage to bounce between A creep and Jabs every single time? Fortunately, he was tanky enough, especially I believe the mech came out from the eye to make sure he had enough, but I guess that was the right situation to get some of that bad luck, that bad juju out of the way. Abed, meanwhile, has been quiet. Despite the hype around this mid-Furion, really haven't seen much from him. As those first couple of rotations, he was just completely outdone by the Monkey King's presence. And now has been calmly farming away, getting to that Maelstrom. Are you back? No? Okay. We'll hear from Avery soon. Don't worry, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
I am back now.
Welcome back.
Yes. Brief intermission.
You sound much better.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
You sound really good without the crackling that you were doing. It's terrible.
Well, you know, I got a little aggressive with the headset. I was just super excited about that Jabs rotation top. I was about to say, what was he doing there? And apparently that was enough to do it.
I see.
Either way, I mean, this game has progressed kind of in a weird way, right?
Oh, nice use of the Quelling Blade. That might have just saved them, though. I'm not sure you could turn around and kill the Monkey King. Maybe I'm wrong about that, though. Hook shot, chain stun, Copy is dead.
Jab's also dead. Once more, just TPing into no man's land. Gets bamboozled instantly.
See, TP to the outpost? Is that what he was doing there?
I will say, I think generally TPing to early fights with Enigma is pretty hit or miss.
I think it's mostly miss.
Yeah, it generally is. You at least want to get to your first or second item. I feel like he's just been doing it a little too much in this game too early. I think this Enigma could have been top 2 net worth, right?
Yeah.
If he just stayed bottom, farmed it out, they rotated to him, maybe they weren't feeling as good about how that was going in this game on the side of Aurora, and they felt the IO Gyro was the strongest duo, so you want to go to them. But Enigma is just not good at making those rotations, and Nouns are feeding off of it.
Yeah, despite the fact they killed the Monkey King, which has been dominating the early game, it was still enough for Nouns to take that first Roshan. Beastmaster Ags giving him too much, and now Abed as well, thinking, okay, they're doing Roshan right now. They can't be here too quickly. Well, they can.
7-1-4 for this Monkey, and he is going to continue to be the biggest threat in this game from this point onwards. He's going to be a problem. Aurora just going to have to outscale. They missed all their windows in terms of snowballing the lanes or taking early towers, getting early Roshan. All of that is gone. So really the only thing you have to rely on now is your scale potential with this IO Gyro Furion Enigma Black Hole maybe, and just put Copy in a position where in the late game he can't fight into all of that. But for the next 15-20 minutes here, he's going to be king of the map. You're going to have Beast with Roshan. That's going to be giving you multiple Aegises here. It's going to give you some front line to just take the fight straight into the Gyro. You have BKB Pierce between the Beast and the Drow, even Tusk Punch. So you can't just get a Gyro BKB and go, haha, what are you going to do about it? Nouns have tools to deal with that. Black Hole is not reliable here at all into Drow Ranger plus Monkey King. Beastmaster has Roar that can always go into it unless you're really going to get to Lincoln's on top of everything else. And yeah, win probability is basically 2-1 here for Nouns. I would kind of agree with that. Their position is very solid in this game. They just played the early game a lot better than that game 1.
Another catch and knocking down the trees. The hook shot leads to the knockdown from Jabs. A nice chain stun on Copy.
Big
they even
find.
bring in the relocate because they know how big that Monkey King kill is. The more they kill him, the longer they delay that BKB, I think the dramatically increased win percent for Aurora.
Yeah, that's a really big find. And I just want to say, Austin, that was a drums on TA 2000, right?
Yeah, TA 2000 went drums into Crystallis.
No, that was a drum for TA 2000. Are we sure this is this guy playing on this account? This is the same. This is the same carry player who plays Naga Siren for 1,000 last hits, and
Listen,
the same guy?
maybe it was PSG Quest who was forcing him to play that way. Maybe he didn't want to play that.
So you're telling me that you took this guy, you put him in Aurora, and suddenly he's playing so fast, he's playing out of his mind. He's
playing drums.
This guy's Thompson now. He's just building drum on one position to buff up the team. That's crazy, man. I mean, I kind of like it, but
maybe somebody sat him down, had a long talk with him.
No, I'm
said, "Hey,
serious.
man."
How many carry players do you think in the world would build drum on the one position gyro? I give it less than 1%.
I don't think it's that low. But
What do you? Who else would do that on one position? I don't even think he would do it. That's why I'm confused.
do you think maybe he's in some sort of hostage situation?
Maybe just mistyped Midas.
You gotta go with the word that's a little bit closer to drums.
I don't know, man.
Dagon.
I'm gonna spend some time figuring that one out. Nonetheless,
Hey, you said new year, new me. All right.
look, I respect it. I'm not hating on it. I didn't think I would ever see it. Ags for Abed's going to give him also a little more early fighting power, some disarm, some root. Seems solid here.
So is Gleipnir just too bad? Did he get too nerfed? The fact that we're going Maelstrom Furion but not Gleipnir. He goes Ags and he's even, queued up Hurricane Pike instead of Gleipnir. It's just, is that item just dead now?
It feels worse than it was for sure. It's just slower. You get it up slower. So innately, its impact is a lot less. And this game, they were behind. This Furion didn't snowball. You didn't take early tower. So I think going Gleipnir here when the enemy's running into you is just like, what does it do for you?
Sure.
It's also not an item that really increases your farming rate relative to the Maelstrom for how much it costs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, you'd rather just go Mjolnir now on a lot of these carries, I think. Or have that option later on, right? Don't invest in, like, this Atos recipe. Just save the Maelstrom, let it give you the farm, and then you get a Mjolnir later on. It's a lot of damage. You get the charge. It's nice to throw on the gyro here or something. Another move on the monkey.
Hook shot into relocate without BKB. He has to use the shard to be able to escape, and it looks like he will barely stay ahead of that gyrocopter ultimate. The missile is coming in fast. He has to snowball dodge to be able to save it. Can the Monkey King jump into the trees and get out of here? Looks like he's okay. Leyless?
Oh, we got pulsed by Jabs.
Oh, the Midnight Pulse from Jabs finds Copy. He doesn't even, just walks away from him, lets the Eidolons, the Midnight Pulse, do its work. He's going to join the rest of the team to deal with Gunner, whose Aghanim Scepter is a big threat, especially with the Aegis. But that Aegis, tick-tock, it is closing out. It is going to expire. He gets pretty much no regen out of it. He will manage to TP away, though. No stuns in time from Aurora.
I like how the Hawk rooted the gyro, though, on the way out. One last route for the road.
True.
Drum charge almost got him there in time, though. I'm just saying. Doing some work.
He's only down to 2 drum charges. He's been pumping those things
So
out.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the reason you generally don't do this on carries, it takes one of your slots, and then you run out, and then do you just sell it back? It's kind of awkward, but Jabs, with some big plays in this game, found 2 tree cuts with this Midnight Pulse. I mean, it is the best interaction you have as this Enigma versus the Monkey King.
Yeah.
He's found some big ones with it. Really bringing Aurora back in this game. Those Monkey King kills. The 10-0 dream for the Monkey, long gone by now. This game did not just absolutely snowball out of control. And you're looking at the gold lead. It is Aurora on top right now.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising.
I mean, some of it's a little inflated between Furion, Wrath of Nature, plus Gyro Flak. Like, you're going to find a lot of CS no matter what.
Sure.
But given how rough that early game was for them, would not have expected this.
Q spotted and will be roared before any hookshot nonsense can come out from him. But Aurora, I don't think they're too concerned about their supports dying when they are farming 2 different parts of the map right now with their cores. So,
And the auras are coming out for Gunnar a bit faster than they are for Jabs here. It's just controlling the pace a bit better. 4-0 game for him. A lot better than that Pangolier game. Top of the board.
Wait, Aurora's coming up. You mean the aura that he has as an ability?
Oh, his Crimson is done, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, it's flying out.
Well, I mean, Jabs already has 2 auras in Vlad's and Pipe.
But he's going Crimson, and his Crimson is behind.
That's so...
I mean, this Ags for Beast is... It's not an aura, but it's a frontline tool.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's in the same vein, right? Like,
I get you. I get you. Items coming out faster for the Beastmaster.
I mean, he's ahead, right? He's like
Yeah, he
3K ahead,
Oh, he is for sure.
almost 4. It's a significant gap. The blink lets him get in there instantly. Really important if you can find the Enigma at the start of the fight. Like, let's say you can blink Roar Jabs, take his auras out of the exchange. It's a big deal. You are right, though. This Pipe plus Vlad plus Crimson, if it arrives on the Enigma, are pretty powerful in terms of buffing up this IO Gyro. It's another one of these, like, kind of meta lineups where if you can just make this Gyro absolutely untouchable, he does have potential to 1v5 the game. I mean, it's not the greatest matchups in a Monkey King Beast Drow by any
I
means.
thought the 1v5 was going to be impossible
Sure,
against Drow.
it's not great, but I just don't think you can ever rule it out without Gyro, because this combo it can do some crazy things. It's a lot about positioning, right? Let's say you hookshot a Drow, you can get on top of him instantly. I mean, that matchup
he does
doesn't
have
really
BKB,
matter.
and he can turn around gust you as well, which means
sure.
that Gyro has his own BKB, but like the IO is going to be pretty screwed in that situation.
I agree.
Right.
100%.
Well, we'll see how the team fights unfold with an even net worth game here in Game 2 at 25 minutes. Both teams seem pretty content. Take their time to farm, do their tormentors, get that extra shard net worth. Will it be the Spire? Will it be the Shard? It's the Spire. Not that you really need it in this game when IO Gyrocopter are going to be tied together all the time. The Aghanim Scepter. Don't forget to follow the tournament. Don't forget to follow the channel. Be sure to do that. 13-7, 1,000 net worth lead for Nouns as we are going to be setting up for another Roshan. It's going to spawn in 1 minute. Aurora, I have to imagine this is one that they are going to contest. I don't think we've seen a black hole yet.
Is under attack.
Which I guess is maybe a good sign for Aurora if they haven't had to black hole and are still doing pretty okay in this game.
It's just not a good black hole game in general. Like, how do you really get it off in a way that impacts the fight where you're not just instantly dying? Like, do you want to be in the front line at all on this Enigma when you have to stare down the Drow Ranger who can absolutely kill you really fast? Chain Frost bouncing around, Roar, Tusk save. It's just not easy at all. I think if you're Jabs, you don't even really think about it in a way. You just let the fight progress, and if you can find something great, but he doesn't have the items to make it work, you're not going to be the one going in first. I don't see Black Hole having a huge mark here unless Nouns really just mess up positioning terribly.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to contest this, Roshan?
It's a big question here. I think you do. I think the Gyro IO is strong enough to take the fight if you can find a good opening. And if you give it to Nouns here, you're going to feel really bad. That's
they would have loved to jump the Beastmaster. Instead, they'll get Lelis, which is maybe not quite as good, but still excellent. They still have a chance to run down Gunnar, though. Force Staff gets him outside of the range of that slow. The Gyrocopter's just barreling at them right now. Copy. He's going to pop out the Wukong's command and catch Q, but even that, Black Hole's going to stop some of that.
That's a good one.
He's going to be in trouble. He's just straight out dead. They managed to get the initiation. The Gyrocopter is leading the charge here. TA2000 is just fearless.
Trying to reload.
Multi-shot, nice to relocate back over to the side. Kiori gets him out of danger. Q is still being safe. But the Pavis, as well as the Crimson Guard, all the auras coming
Ovid
out.
just
Aurora
running
keeping
in.
these heroes alive. Ovid coming in with his Mjolnir. Activates that one. Yuma is healthy enough. Turns around, kills Kiori, perhaps. Can they kill him in time? The multi-shot running him down. And now they'll go for
That's
Ovid.
aggressive
Yuma
force.
pushed himself in really, really deep. TA2000 tried to take advantage of that. BKB wearing out. Aurora back to their lines here of 4 ranged heroes. Hook shot back into the play as that has come back up for the second time in this team fight. Q tried to jump Yuma, not good enough. Aurora were not in a position to get aggressive off of that hook shot. Still are going to try and chase
A
them though, because
second
the
wrath.
second axe is going to come out from Abed. That lockdown will allow them to finally surround that the Drow Ranger with no BKB and bring him down. Gunner heading. Ooh, nice blink away into the corner. We'll be able to TP out, but still a massive win for
Copy.
Aurora. Though somehow Copy comes back into the game and kills Abed. The team fight stretches out so long that just as you think Aurora have won the team fight well enough to be able to take Roshan for themselves, ends up losing their mid and losing control perhaps of the pit. We'll see.
I mean, Nouns got kited so damn hard that entire fight. They're going to commit another buyback here, refusing to give up Roshan.
Yeah, they are in the pit right now, but Aurora are going to back away for the first sign of Nouns aggression.
They want to jump. They don't want to just get the Roche. They want the kills. Roar is back up
They're
here.
going to sneak past these wards and manage to get the Roar onto the IO. With the
Another
Wukong's
Wukong.
man, a much better one that kills the IO and sets up TA2000 where he has to BKB and skittle away into the trees trying to get out of here. Snowball onto Jab. So hook shot
Three-man
on
hook.
three. A beautiful setup.
that enough?
Bucks to follow that one up. 3 heroes trapped inside. Can TA2000 pump out the damage? It just doesn't seem like he's got anything left in the table. A Wrath of Nature comes through, deals with the supports. Lich goes down, almost the touch, though he does manage to get off the snowball. He's barreling into TA2000. He'll probably die. Wait, drinking buddies, a push back in the guts. Gunner jumps forward. AoE damage is enough. He goes down, boundless strike through, catching jabs. They're going to bring down the cores of Aurora. In fact, they almost damn near wiped them on the second part of this engagement, and now they will be the ones to go back and take Roche.
What a crazy team fight. Just gets extended all over the place with these buybacks. The second round of it, though, 7,000 damage from Copy. He finds his mark way better with that second Wukong and the second Boundless that he did in that first exchange. Able to find his targets, and once his Monkey King just starts running through the Aurora lineup, if there's no black hole to lock him down, give you the big damage.
I mean,
He
there's
just runs
a
rampant.
massive difference
Oh, yeah.
when Nouns are able to get the initiation versus when Aurora does.
And
right?
there's just
It's like when
not a
Aurora
lot
does,
left.
they can play off of their back and forth, you know, their relocate out and such, but
I mean, that was a nasty hook shot. Imagine you had black hole there. You might wipe them.
yeah.
But there's not enough control left
No
here.
flat
and-
cannon either.
Yeah, there's very little mana on TA2000. He's just out of it. The fight's gone on too long. Abed tries to turn, but with Yuma coming in here, they knew they had to get out, and you just can't escape.
And we're going to start seeing some of the problems of this matchup, Drow Ranger versus Gyrocopter. You don't build any armor on Gyrocopter typically. You may have to start building an AC or something like that, because
That used to be what you did. You went AC in this matchup.
Yeah.
You can go Butterfly,
Ooh.
but it's not that good, and it's not guaranteed. The other route is you can just go Swift Blink and just try and stay on top of the Drow the whole time.
yeah, just try and do a DPS check,
But-
see who pumps out the damage faster,
I
jump
don't
on
know,
the
man.
Drow. and-
Swift Blinking into this lineup sounds pretty scary. The IO also can't really stay with you, so I don't think you're going to have that option this game.
Yeah.
Might just have to try and scale here through other means on the Furion and the Enigma. If you're Aurora, try and continue to find those really clutch black holes to take down the Monkey King or the Drow. You can somehow get in the right spot at the right time. But for now, Nouns will claim that Roshan, put it onto the Yuma Drow Ranger, which the facet has looked really good this game. The extra mobility on this Drow while you're multi-shotting has actually done some decent work.
Yeah, I think it's very helpful to this hero.
Is under attack.
He's got Elven Tunic up now, closing in on that level 20. He's got all the buffs in the world to back him up. And TA2000 still looking for some DPS in this game. He just does not do enough damage. Went this like Drum, Sanj, and Yasha build, which we saw how much he tanked there, and you can kite the fight out, but at some point you're going to have to kill these heroes.
And Nouns not shy about knocking on Aurora's front door. Go up to the high ground nice and early with the banner as well to keep that siege wagon alive.
So how do you take this fight if you're Aurora? You have to look for the hook shot on somebody, maybe Cog Yuma deeper into the base, but no, it is
Aurora
Gunner.
on the Gyrocopter. 4 staff back.
Okay,
No
that's
need
just
for a
gone.
relocate. This should give Aurora an opportunity to certainly deal with the banner and maybe push out. We'll see. They are fighting into an Aegis on Yuma. Once again, seems to be pretty okay with taking some of the challenge against the Gyrocopter.
Just not a lot of sustain here to deal with the Flat Cannon and the Wrath of Nature poke. Awkward high ground for Nouns. They'd rather just take the fight. They would rather just jump Aurora, which is why I think we saw Gunner go in there, but It's a bit scary to do that into the high ground, into the tier 4s, potential buybacks from Aurora. The flak cannon becomes really strong in that type of scenario where it's just going to start hitting everybody. Yeah. Still maintaining some map control. It's kind of crazy that Aurora are still up in net worth this game. That is...
Do you agree with this win probability now that we're in a place where the net worth is even and the win probability is still heavily favoring Nouns?
I mean, in theory, their cores scale really well here, and the route to victory for Aurora is becoming a lot more one-dimensional. Like, you're either itemizing and gearing up to hit a massive black hole, or Gyro can literally 1v3 the cores. I don't think the Furion's offering you too much.
TA2000 spooked. Uses the BKB early, despite the fact that they had just seen a lot of heroes in the triangle. They saw 3 heroes.
I mean,
that.
I don't fault that BKB. You don't know where the supports are. You don't know where this Monkey King is. This beast just jumps on you. What are you supposed to think?
Yeah, you're probably expecting Wukong's command to be being dropped on your head.
It'll be AC for Ovid here. He's the one who wants it.
Yeah.
He also has no bonus armor, so can't blame him. I don't know. I mean, this might come down to jabs in this game. He's kind of the real difference maker in these team fights. For Nouns as well, can you find the Enigma, take him out? What does he build here? Does he go back for, like, Blink BKB? Lincoln's? Can you even ever get there if you want to go down that route after triple Aura? It feels pretty bad.
I mean, that being said, if he does get just Blink BKB, and they have to roar him.
Yeah, then they have to save Roar.
Then that means the Roar isn't being used on the Gyrocopter or the Furion, who are both, ramping up pretty good.
It is a route you can go. I wonder how tanky he is in the middle of a Wukong. Like, if Nouns can just drop Wukong. But Aurora have been kiting the fights out pretty hard.
Yeah.
So there's some consideration there. Can we kite the fight out, play with buybacks? You do have Relo, and you have Furion TP. So you could end up in a late game situation where you just win the fight off having 7 versus 5.
Sure.
If you take it in a weird part of the map, Nouns can't get there. It's not on their outpost or anything. Are building into this Tusk kick, though, which is a really important spell you're going to have to think about.
Yeah, when the enemy team is trying to kite you, how do you kite getting kicked into the middle of Nouns? You know, you're just done.
And it's the one thing that makes this Isle Gyro pair get split up. So if you just kick the Gyro in, you have to reload him out, and then Nouns can look for the reload cancel, which they have some decent tools to deal with that. That's a nightmare scenario for Aurora. And it's closing in here. It's not too far away for the Tusk.
Searching for a Wisdom Rune steal.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's
Seems
bottom
like
tower is under attack.
Copy knew that was coming, though. He denies the Wisdom Rune on his side, while
Wait, they
Yuma
denied
denies
both?
the enemy Wisdom Rune.
What?
How did he have an Illusion Rune? Did he pick up an Illusion Rune on the Drow Ranger and had his Illusion?
Wait, why would you deny? Why would you deny both?
Well, I mean, they were in a position to play on Aurora's side.
Right, I understand denying one. We're gonna see a quick pickup. Like, you deny one because you're going to one. You can't go to both, right? But denying both.
Aurora's just playing so defensive. They're like, they could be on their Wisdom
But that's
Rune,
what I'm
or
saying.
They could be on ours.
You can't
We're
think they
afraid
can.
of both.
You can't think they can be in both. That's my point.
Well,
right, they're either at one or the other, and you're at one or the other. And if you're both at both,
okay. Well, all right. The copy one
isn't the risk of denying it for the monkey the same as just taking it?
No, he denied it with an illusion.
But he was there.
Yeah, but he wasn't close enough to get it before the clockwork did, so he had to deny
but,
it with his illusion. So,
but you know what I'm saying? Like, the effective risk, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that before. So,
I mean, I've never seen it either.
That's just such a weird situation. Like, well, you denied both Wisdom Runes. Maybe it's some next level meta. Like, we want everybody to be low level.
Can't afford those higher death timers, you know.
It's just the ultra next level play because they know Aurora are going to play for the buyback, reload, buyback, TP in with Furion. So they want to be. No, actually, you'd want them to be higher level.
You want them to
so
be
it's
higher
more expensive. They should have left both and just given them both to Aurora.
Of course.
The next level economic damage. That way, when you buy back, it's more expensive.
True.
Silver Edge on the lineup here for TA2000. Still not level 20. His levels have really been gimped this game. I mean, it can happen with the IO pair, and you're not crushing the fights. But, man, he would love for those extra talents here on the gyro. Really important.
TA2000 is really just all in on damage and getting close to the Drow Ranger.
Which is what you kind of have to do.
I mean, it used to be you would always go AC, like you said. But I get, because Abed wants AC, he's just, all right, it's Daedalus Silver Edge.
I mean, he was fairly tanky in that fight with the IO to back him up. You have Crimson on the Enigma.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to last forever. Like,
You have Vlad's.
I think the Drow Ranger is, like, getting online.
The thing is, I just
get
don't...
a Daedalus proc as well as that pure damage.
I just don't think AC saves you in this game. Like, the later and later it goes, if Drow and Monkey are both 5-6 slotted, there's no itemization here for Gyro that saves you in that scenario. It's you have to kill them first. I think that's it. That's just it. There's no other solution to the puzzle.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
All out TPS.
Yep, gun and run here. Name of the game. Blink Dagger for the Enigma is up, so Jabs could make some clutch black hole plays. We've seen some crazy clumps in the fight from Nouns, right? The 3-man hook shot, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Might not take a lot to just slip up a little bit. You get 2 or 3 heroes in that black hole for 2 or 3 seconds. Is that enough to push you over the edge here if you are Aurora? This is still a very close game net worth-wise, but I don't think it will look close if it's just a head-on man fight between all the cores in this game. Really need to outmaneuver Nouns here in the fight if you want to take this next Roshan, which is what's going to be on the menu here for both teams. And is looking pretty good for Nouns if they can keep the lanes pushed in, maintain their position on the map, and it will be the butterfly. For T2000, he sells that drum, frees up the slot, and we'll go for the evasion here. Double-edged sword versus the Drow, but
We'll see how long that butterfly remains effective.
it is very good versus the monkey here.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's not just the Drow.
Yeah,
You're right.
so, you know, there is a decent argument. It's some decent DPS as well. And it's going to be a nice power spike, which is maybe the most important thing here. Like, you have to buy something that you can finish right now that's going to do the most. So you can try and take this next Roshan and give yourself a chance to...
It's fair. If it gives you
Come
enough
back
an
in this game.
advantage for this one fight, and that one fight leads into
Might be all that
being able to
matters.
get Aegis and third Roshan as well with the Aghanim's blessing that
100%.
you're going to get off of it as well. It's a massive swing.
Massive
Will
smoke.
it be enough for Aurora to overcome a 70-30 matchup at this point?
Scan will
Running
hit
into Gunner.
here.
Gunner. He gets hook shot at first. Doesn't get off his BKB. Gets it off now, but he's already stuck in the black hole. And the physical damage, you could say TA2000, that build, it really dices up some heroes when they're isolated.
Really important black hole there from Jabs. Have to commit it. He can absolutely BKB roar run away there, and that fight becomes messy as hell. And this is
is
Roshan
good
you're
enough.
fighting for. No buyback on this Beastmaster. He bought out, so no option for Nouns to contest this. That is just a beautifully timed smoke, and begs the question, what were you doing there if you're a Gunner? That is not a pickoff you can give up in this game that lightly.
I would say, what was the rest of his team doing, right?
Well,
like,
you
you
could
should be
also
playing
argue
for
that.
Roshan, right?
Well, it's a combination of that, right? Basically, if you're Nouns, you can't give up a pickup like that. So you have to either be together or defending a high ground position where the other cores can TP into. Either which way, he just walked straight into him. Did not get that blink off. Spellcasting was pretty fast there from Aurora. And Roshan into their pocket. And Aegis on this gyrocopter. No joke.
Spooky stuff. They got some extra kiting mechanisms or mobility tools. 2 Ogre Seal totems for them off the tier 4s they're currently finding. So,
Yeah, that's
better
that's
chance
another
to
mini
get on top of the
mobility.
Drow or get away from her.
So that's kind of like a pseudo blink for this gyro.
Yeah.
Pretty nice switch of events here for Aurora. I mean, just like that, they're up 5k because you can eat this Ags and get an Aegis. You get some tier 4 neutrals.
Scotty, though, big pickup for Copy.
Yep.
He is a lot tankier, but also that effect against Drowcopter, that slow is really debilitating for ranged heroes, and really good as the anti-heal mechanism against Aya.
That's the scary part. As strong as you are right now as Aurora, I think you still have to do something with this.
Yeah.
Because the items coming out for Nouns are just terrifying. And they're just going to smoke aggressively. They don't care, man. They got the MKB on the Drow, Scotty for the Monkey. The Ags is halfway there for Lelis. Shiva's is on the menu for the Beast. All these items are just going to be amazing in this game.
Nullifier for Abed.
He's
AC,
kidding.
Nullifier.
He's kidding. Oh, you are daring them to go.
Catching the out first. Perfect opportunity. Look at TA2000 get bursted.
And you can just
where
Wukong
is Aurora going to be able to come in and help out? He is surrounded by Wukong's command with the Drow Ranger on the high ground, but the Ogre Steel Totem gets over to the other side, and Q tries to run interference with a hook shot. They catch the Lich out
that Wrath of Nature.
away from the rest of the team. The Wrath of Nature is doing enough. They
Wukong
caught
gone.
Nouns inside of the middle of this down area of the river. And Abed was able to find enough to pick up that Aurora. Feel good about their aggression. They're going to use the nullifier. Copy jumps to the other side of the river. TA2000. He does have the help from
Black hole in
Kiori
5.
here. Jabs. Couple more
Doesn't
seconds
have it.
for a black hole, but he's in trouble right now. One more second. Black hole's just not going to come in time. But Copy, he may be able to kill Jabs, but he can't deal with TA2000. And now Yuma's on the
Abed.
run. They have that Ogre Steel Totem. They have that nullifier. They need to be able to slow him down just a little bit. And TA2000, all he needs is a couple of shots to be able to finish him up. They got him. One crit is all it takes. That goes Yuma. No buybacks here on these heroes either. This could be Aurora taking the full sweep of buildings here.
I mean, can they just go throne?
One team fight.
There's throw potential. You have a lot of single target DPS here. I think that was an aggressive Hurricane Pike on Abed as well to just continue the chase on this gyro. Abed honestly has owned these fights.
Let's see if Aurora knows what's up. They hit the tier 3,
I think you
and
threatened
TA2000 is going straight for the tier 4. So they have to
just whack it out.
defend 3 versus 4.
Maybe it's-
Decides better of it, maybe because the Lich Frost
Yeah,
Armor
the
is too
Frost
much.
Armor is really obnoxious here. You also don't have that Aegis to play with.
So instead, they're going to try and take 2 lanes, but the hook shot may have just created an opening. Couldn't manage to get the Cogs push back, but managed to grab Leeless inside of it. Not good enough, though. They hit the tier 4.
Still going for it.
With Jabs now joining in.
And you have Black Hole. Remember, he didn't have it for that fight, so it's back up now. He could just hold a beast or try and take somebody out at the start of this fight.
20 seconds till the Monkey King is back up. That Wukong's command could allow Nouns to
Look
be
at
able
this.
to hold up around their Ancient. Gunner's going to jump in. Use that roar.
This is
Slowing
early.
him down. Got the black hole. Onto 2 with the nullifier. They will just demolish those 2 heroes. Can they make the push? The final
5
push
seconds.
in 4th is thrown in time. The Frost Armor, it's slowing it down too much. The Monkey King and the Drow Ranger are going to be back up, but they've already used buybacks on some of these heroes. Aurora now trying to retreat. Too many heroes to deal with. They're trying to get out. They're going to lose Q. They're going to lose Jabs. Yuma is looking for more, even more off of this one. Jabs, that TP's not going to make it. Looks like Yuma couldn't find anybody else, so they'll only get 2 heroes off of the Aurora retreat.
Man, absolute devastation for Nouns in the last 10 minutes of this game. Like, losing that Roche, it makes that mid-team fight way harder. You have to take this gyro down twice. They can't manage to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they did it once so easily.
And then this whole game just swings off that single misplay. The
Yeah.
Beast getting caught top, just spiraled, and now you're down 20k net worth from an advantageous position. You lost your mid-barracks, you lost your tier 4s, you lost your glyph, you cost double buyback here.
I would
Aurora,
still say
make
if
it
I'm
MOUZ.
Aurora, it feels a little spooky.
Oh, it's still losable for sure. Like, you still have to respect the damage coming out from this Nouns lineup. You have to respect the kick that could come out from this Tusk here in the next few minutes. Nouns can continue to farm up and scale a little bit here as well, and that Ags is done for the Tusk. So,
Dude, if you get an Axe and kick the Gyrocopter,
yeah, it's scary, man.
like, he needs that extra life. He needs that Aegis. He needs an extra life, and he's going to get a form of it in Satanic, though, again, with some of the anti-heal measures available for Nouns. And maybe just the
not a
raw
get-out-of-jail
burst.
free card, but
Yeah,
he's very
certainly.
strong. In fact, he sold Butterfly.
And went, or probably
Yeah.
disassembled. Can you disassemble Butterfly? So he kept the Eagle song to make the Swipling.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
That's a cool idea when you're like, you get the Butterfly and you're like, okay, you have to build MKB. Oh, now that you built MKB, I'm going to get the Swipling.
Yep. And the crazy thing is we talked about all these items at the beginning. We talked about the AC, the Butterfly, the Swift Blink, right? The options for you to deal with this drought, and they've kind of gone through them all.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see. They have identified the itemization really well here on the side of Aurora and used their items well. And I mean, particularly highlighting Abed. I don't think his pathway to have high impact in these fights is very simple, right? He's like 2 and 4 Furion that missed a lot of the early game windows. And yeah, you deal a lot of damage, but it's not that easy to get out versus the Monkey who can jump around, the Drow who can pike around. A lot of BKB control between the Beast and the Tusk. It's just not an easy game to just like, oh, I'm going to TP in his Furion and hit you, and you can't do anything. And he's made his presence felt in the fights. Aurora have really done well to claw their way back in this game and now maybe put themselves in a winning position potentially. They can close out another big team fight here.
That Aghanim Scepter for the Clockwork will help Aurora a lot in just being able to get vision of the layout of what
That's a big deal.
And in order to get that opening, in order to get that
Or cancel blinks.
initiation.
If
Yeah.
you can find the Tusk or the Beast, cancel their blinks at the start of the fight, maybe you can start on them instead of them starting on you.
But if
Prevent
you
the
have
kick,
all the
prevent
information
roar.
in the world, what is the ideal start to the team fight for Aurora?
Just go in with the gyro, throw the Wrath of Nature through, it'll force early BKBs, and then you can maybe look for this black hole. That's the really confident version.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know how confident I would be in the gyrocopter.
The tree
unless-
cut!
Beautiful stuff. Copy. Is he just 100% dead
Yes.
here? There is nobody nearby to save him
And-
from the global relocation of heroes that come in.
No buyback, right?
Yeah.
Is that enough to
I mean,
force
you're
Throne?
pushing into a Drow Ranger. It's still very dangerous, even without the Monkey King. I
guess
think they
Roche
absolutely
spawning
should
soon.
try, but at least take the second lane of barracks. Should be free. I doubt Nouns are going to try and stop you too much.
Man, that's one of those pickoffs you're like, I want to go high ground, but Roche spawning soon, you don't have black hole because you have to use it for that pickoff. How confident are you in this gyro front line right now? Take a little range racks, at least do a little damage here.
See, DA 2000.
I mean, they're rocket
Don't
flaring
take any
Roche.
rest.
So Aurora have made up their minds. They're not going to risk some high ground fight. If you lose that and give up Roche, this game completely turns.
Yeah, that's fair.
And this IO is big, by the way. We haven't talked about it a lot this game, but Cowrie has found his farm. Like he's a lot of bonus armor. He got the
Yes,
rattle
he
cage as
does.
well. So this
Yeah.
is 28 bonus armor on the IO. Honestly, it's not the easiest or fastest target for Nouns to focus, especially if the auras get put on this IO. If you can put the Crimson on him with AC aura,
I don't think there's any way he just dies to one multi-shot, right?
no way. It's just they've been roaring this IO a lot. I don't even know if it's that good to do anymore.
Yeah,
Like, that doesn't feel great if you can't, but you might opt for roaring Wukonging this gyro, bring him, try and all in him.
I would rather,
And
especially
cancel
since
the
this
reload?
gyrocopter is like all in on damage.
Yeah, you want to focus him for sure.
Especially if he's going to be swift linking on top of my Drow Ranger. That is, I need to put a stop to that immediately.
I mean, if you can kick him, that's the best case scenario.
Sure.
If
Yeah,
you get the
yeah.
kick on the TA2000, that's the dream. In theory, that is something that Aurora are going to try and prevent, but a lot could come down to Lelis, his own Ogre Seal Totem.
All right, we're finally going to see that Daedalus, which is the biggest burst damage that you'll see.
Oh, he's big. He's big, man. You have to respect the DPS here.
BKB for Jabs.
He got there.
A Scythe for Abed, and I think he also consumed his Aghanim Scepter for the extra slot. So level 25. Abed, especially like with the Rax advantage that you have, these Treants are also not a joke either. Like you're dealing with these team fights, but if Treants are hitting some of your buildings, you may end up losing
I mean,
the war.
we're talking about Treants. What if Abed just goes thrown in the middle of a random team fight?
Oh, yeah. Dude, look at these things. They just chunking down the building. Copy
It's
can't
gone.
stop it in time, man.
Holy.
So when you have an exposed Ancient,
That's a play.
this is a real threat. This is a 6-0 you have to deal with. It's just these Treants.
Yeah,
So
this
you're going to
game-
have to play so defensively. You're really not going to be able to play
Oh, what a
Roshan
pickoff.
whatsoever. Nice pickoff, though. A smoke out while they're doing Roshan.
What a crazy find, actually. That
Yeah.
is- I mean, it's not going to work out exchange-wise here for Nouns, but
Yeah, it's not
a
going to allow
move.
them to... Oh, Nature's Prophet is dead. Let's get aggressive, guys.
This game, in theory, that's an Ags for the Enigma now. He's really big all of a sudden. This Black Hole's a way bigger threat.
He also has, combined with that facet, it's like people are actually pretty slow around
Yes.
this black hole. It's
Yeah,
pulling you in,
it's
and you're
nasty.
also walking slower when you're trying to move away from him.
This game conceptually is starting to maybe look hard for Nouns. You have a glyph still available, but how do you play the map to eventually win this game? That's a big question, because like you said, you constantly push this bottom wave in with the Furion. If there's a Treant pushing in bottom, it starts to hit your throne. If you can Furion TP on it, you can reload to it. That's enough to go through backdoor.
Like, on paper, it feels like Nouns have to win so many fights to be able to win this game, where it only takes Aurora one. And maybe even they could lose a
Yeah.
fight and still win the game, right? So,
I mean, It's just how you're going to play the map here for Nouns. It's the difficult part. Because your lineup doesn't deal well with having to split up. That's where we've seen a lot of the big pickoffs come in with the reload threat, the Furion threat.
Yeah.
Aurora's lineup just plays the map better. They play the lanes better. And so they can, if they can force the lanes into a position that gives them info advantage or splits Nouns up, that's where they can really leverage it.
I mean, it sucks that, like, the best their map is going to look is right now when they got the pickoff on Abed, right?
Yeah,
The
they're
map
getting
is in
in
a
a
really
good
good
state.
solid play, but they're playing into it ages, so they can't even, they don't even feel like they can really push for a high ground or really force things.
They're the ones getting smoked on. I mean, look at this bottom lane. This bottom lane is pushing
But
it for
he's trying
Dire.
to carry. He tries to force Saf away. TA2000 going to
Oh,
deal with him.
two-man
Nice
black hole.
catching the 2 cores. Set up by Q. Jabs with the follow through. Knocks it out of the park.
That is a beautiful find from Q and Jabs here on the side of that fight. TA2000, he soaked up all the attention with that initial jump, and it only takes 1 second. A couple rocket flares. Jabs finds his mark in this game. And that is 2 cores on the sideline here for 100 seconds. Aurora are going to push down top lane. Just go for Megas here, probably. Or just go Throne. Who needs Megas?
You are going to be dealing with a Drow Ranger and a Tusk Aghanim Scepter. So the closer you get to that Ancient, the harder it's going to be. But at the same time, you could kill this Ancient really quickly, potentially.
Buyback number
with the
1.
Lich dead, that was a big part of the way it was slowing down the push of Aurora with no armor.
Okay, even if you kick him in, though, your Throne might still die to
Get
the
in.
other heroes.
Yuma, he's the one big caught, throwing himself up in the high ground. Wukong's command, it's actually going to force Aurora back a little bit to use the nullifier on Cop, and he's the one who has to back away from his own Wukong's
Can't
command.
fight
He
it.
can't deal with TA2000. He can't actually stay inside of his own ultimate and
Throne
fight it
is
out. It's going
dying.
to be a glyph to be used here, a buyback from the Monkey King.
You have to take the fight now if you're Nouns. His Throne disappears to the DPS.
He has to go in, but he immediately got sight. Abed was ready for that initiation and puts a halt to it almost immediately.
It's
And whether
done.
it's the hero or the Ancient, both will fall as they cannot stand TA2000's gyrocopter.
Ah, what a beautiful late game execution here from Aurora. They were really in a tough position that game. That early game did not go anywhere near where I think it could have for them. The Furion had almost no momentum. The laning phase wasn't anything spectacular. The Monkey King was off to an incredible start in that game. It looked like it was just going to be a game the Monkey King takes over, scales out of control. He out-man fights everybody. But Aurora, man, they find some very key pickoffs in that game. They found their openings. They eventually get that Roshan. And, man, I feel like T2000 played really well this game.
He stopped a lot of that early game aggression from
Yeah.
Nouns with that drum spill.
That drum worked, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's some sacrificial stuff that gets your team a little bit back in the game, and then you're able to transition in that late game. And I think they just outmaneuvered Nouns in that late game. They used their lineup really well in terms of playing the lanes, making sure they had pressure on the right points. The reloads were on point in the fights, and they really kited out these Wukongs. That's the biggest thing. Nouns were not able to find the lockdown to let their damage go to work in these fights. The little kiting mechanisms from Aurora really did work in this IO gyro pair.
Look at this.
Proving its worth, proving its
TA2000 just like running at them. He said, I've got drums, I've got BKB. Even if this fight really goes back and forth, it felt like this was the first time where Aurora could actually fight Nouns, and it was off the back of TA2000 gyrocopter.
Yeah, I was really impressed by his gameplay this game. Not an easy position for that gyro to play into, considering the game state, and he really made it work. And then he closes it out, right? The itemization was on point, the little butterfly timing into the swift blink. Everything that's lined up pretty well, and they're able to claw it back. And if you're Nouns, you start out 0-2 in this series. It was just not clicking for them. Even things execution-wise from the laning phase, the team fighting felt a little off for them. I think not up to the standard we're used to seeing, and really got to look towards Gunnar in that off lane. He needs to be able to find a higher impact and make his mark felt a little bit more. I think he had a much better game 2 than game 1. But that one death top, like that random smoke that landed on him, that snowballed into the Roche, that changed the entire course of this game, is something you look at and go, how do we prevent something like that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Back to Aurora's side of things, though. I feel like this is maybe your Shaq moment. You want to do the quote? I'd like to apologize.
No, I'm not apologizing yet.
I'd like to apologize.
I want to see more.
2000. I wasn't familiar with your game.
I mean, if he can play like this, I will absolutely apologize, because this did not feel slow at all. This felt like he was constantly looking for opportunities, leading the charges in a lot of the fights, looking for the big late game plays. Yeah, absolutely impressed by what he's delivered today.
Absolutely. A good sign for Aurora for the next year, as I'm sure this last year was quite disappointing, but this is a great way to start things out. Take it down Nouns into 2-0. some pretty aggressive gameplay. Nice comeback in game 2 as well. Jabs even got his opportunity to finally get some black holes in.
I mean,
Big. I mean,
he found it.
Jabs and Q, right? They were a big reason why they were able to get some of those early
Yes.
kills on the Monkey King in the first place,
Yeah,
right?
he
Hook
found
shot into
huge
Midnight
pulse,
Yeah.
huge pulse, tree cuts, which is what you look for in this matchup. That absolutely stalled a lot of the momentum out from this Monkey King, and then he found multiple multi-hero black holes in that late game.
Even situations like this, I thought Aurora was very disciplined, right? And being able to, like, they could have pushed for a throne. They realized, all right, Drow Rangers back up. They back away. They only lose Q and Jabs, which I think is pretty acceptable losses. I think Abed and TA2000
Yeah, this
were
was
much more
a
important.
very disciplined retreat. They don't lose anything important. They maintain their map control. Abed goes straight to top off this team fight to push the lane in.
Yep.
And he had that clutch hex in the last fight
Oh,
to
yeah.
prevent the kickback. But this was really one of the deal clinchers here. 2 core black hole. The Monkey King's getting sucked in. Can't Wukong to save him. And then Copy's just not strong enough at this point to fight through. All the heroes just right-clicking him back with Crimson to tank the Monkey King.
Especially with the Nullifier killing his Jingu.
I mean,
Right,
I was
it's like-
surprised it was that one-sided. This IO Gyro is no slouch in the late game. You really have to respect it. And bam, get hexed. No axe kick for you. See you later. Very nice 2-0 for
Abed
Aurora.
knew there was only one way Nouns going to be able to hold that, and that was around that Aghanims for the Tusk, and we really never saw it come into play. As what would you say, looking at some of the stats, who would you say your like player of the game was?
I mean, for me, it's TA2000. I think he absolutely owned this game. He found a lot of openings. He led the charge. He made some very good moves. That IO Gyro pair did work. And I mean, honestly, if you're looking at the stats, 11-3 for Gunner. He had a pretty good game on this beast.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it has to be very clean, and it wasn't there for Nouns.
They were not able to leverage that advantage the way that Aurora was able to do so off the Bristleback in
Right.
game 1.
Exactly.
So
It's about what you do with that net worth and that stat line and what you bring to the table. And I think Gunner played fine, but Nouns just weren't able to bring it together around that Beastmaster and transition into a game win.
all right, well, you said one man to look to for the future of this Aurora lineup is that they're going to have to play a lot around Abed. We have him ready to go with an interview with Jenkins.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with the golden boy. Abed, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you. Thank you.
So game 2, it looked like maybe it was they were kind of directing the pace of the game. I'm curious like what the comms were like for you guys. Did you actually feel like they were in control of the game for the early game for game 2?
We messed up quite a lot. We messed up our entire early game. We were over. I'm not sure what was happening bottom, but they said they were overplaying it, and I kind of got forced to TP. And yeah, my Furion was a bit rusty, so early game was rough.
It happens. I was wondering with the Furion pick, the Monkey King matchup seemed kind of bad. Like how are you feeling about Furion in this game? Why did you choose to last pick this?
We couldn't find a hero to lane against Monkey, so we just decided to go with a hero that will go well with our game plan.
Makes sense. And you guys did kind of like a summon strategy. I wanted to ask you like generally with regards to the meta. You know, we had TI. It was like bracers in every single game. How do you feel about the meta now compared to at TI?
I definitely enjoy playing against supports with less HP because the last patch was just insane. Supports having 3k HP with 3 bracers and Solar Quest. Yeah, that was just not a fun patch.
So I was out there. I was searching the deep web about kind of comments about you, and people are saying Abed against NA. He spent so much time in NA. This is going to be an easy matchup for him. Is that a load of bullshit, or do you actually think you do better against the NA teams because you know the region?
Don't really think that means anything to me.
Fair enough. Well, we'll see if Avery and Cap can make sense of if that actually means anything to anybody with this next segment.
Anything Jenkins says really means too much. But
I don't understand
appreciate
anything he
Abed's
says.
analysis. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a load of bullshit? No. I think Abed was trained in the NA prison for 7 years, and now that he's escaped, he wants revenge. And he's extracting it, even though it's not his old team. Maybe he's confused. He sees the American flag on the jersey. It's just his eyes go red. His mouth foams. He's like, give me that Furion. I'm rusty on it, but give it to me anyway, and I'm gonna ruin their day. Who knows, man? He's got a vendetta to prove.
All right, well, what will brighten your day is, of course, all the great Dota that we're going to be happening here at BB Dacha. So be sure to follow the channel, and that way you don't miss out on any of the matches. I mean, good way to be able to start. Why have we had such a good change? I don't want to complain too much here, but meta for TI was a little boring. A lot of one-sided games. Why did we all of a sudden PGO block it with great games? We're already starting off BB Dacha on the right foot.
I mean, you just got rid of unkillable supports. Like, that's a huge portion of it.
Okay.
If you change the meta so that the average support has 1,500, 2,000 HP compared to 3,000, 35, it's a world of difference. You can play killer heroes. You can play faster. The kills are easier to get. They take less resources, which means they're not as demanding or punishing if you screw them up or you go for them. Like, it doesn't take 3,000 mana to kill a Tuskar, and then you're sitting on the map going, well, what are we doing now? We just got 500 gold, right? All these things compound, and they make the game a lot faster. They make skirmishing a lot more rewarding. They make faster gameplay less punishing if you screw it up. And I think it just makes the gameplay more interesting. I think it's a world of difference. Small changes like that.
Sorry, support players. You gotta have to sacrifice.
Well, I mean,
again.
It adds up.
Gonna have to be sacrificed for better games.
It's good for the course, too.
That's true. All right, guys, we're going to take a break and come back with our second series of the day for BB Dacha.